Chapter 580. The ruler of Tianzhou was his grand disciple. Clap. Niu Zhetian snorted disdainfully. Even though he didn't know what the celestial soldier layer was, he had heard of it in Tianzhou. After all, even Jing Xian, who was at the 8 Barons Supreme layer, had been defeated. Sect Leader Wang, with your heavenly soldier realm cultivation, it doesn't matter whether you enter the reincarnation realm or not. However, if you insist on entering, I won't stop you, nor can I stop you. The Heavenly Emperor said indifferently. Wang Kai, who was at the Heavenly Soldier realm, had surpassed the Heavenly Emperor's cultivation. It was extremely easy for him to break the reincarnation realm's suppression. However, if he forcefully broke it, it would inevitably lead to the collapse of the reincarnation realm. Therefore, the Heavenly Emperor wouldn't choose to stop him, nor would he be willing to stop him. Nangong Huowu, how did you know that the first Heavenly Emperor and Heavenly Ghost Sovereign had a secret plan? Don't say that it was the Tianji Elder's scheme, let alone that you discovered it yourself. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Swoosh. Nangong Huowu frowned slightly as soon as she heard this. Her beautiful eyes were filled with hesitation. Seeing her like this, Wang Kai couldn't help but squint his eyes. He felt that this matter wasn't simple. If the Heavenly Emperor, Nangong Huowu, really came from Tianzhou, then how did she become a member of the Nangong family? Was everything so coincidental? Moreover, Jing Xian had also been to Tianzhou. The Heavenly Emperor also called Jing Xian Sister Xian. There's no harm in telling him. The Hou family has been destroyed. Let the victors, by family, Shao family, and Wang family enter. Make an exception for the Ji family too. Buzz. Suddenly, the void was torn apart. Jing Xian, who was wearing a golden dress, stepped out from the void. Her appearance was peerless, her eyes were calm, her figure was exquisite, and her temperament was otherworldly. Compared to when she was in the immortal martial domain, it was like heaven and earth. Little Xian, long time no see. Come here and let your husband hug you. Wang Kai's eyebrows suddenly raised. He stood up and smiled with a surprised expression. He even opened his arms and made a hugging gesture. Seeing this scene and hearing those words, the Heavenly Emperor Nangong Huowu was stupefied. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief as she looked at Wang Kai, then at Jing Xian. Who would have thought that they actually had such a relationship? At first, he thought that there were other origins. What Wang Kai said before was actually true. Nangong Huowu's face was slightly stiff. The calmness she maintained before had completely disappeared at this moment. Nangong Huowu knew Jing Xian very well. She would rather believe that a pig could climb a tree than that Jing Xian would find a Tao companion. But now, wasn't the truth right in front of them? Wang Kai, show some respect. Jing Xian frowned slightly, her eyes flashing with shame and anger. Back then, when he was in the immortal martial realm, he recovered his memories and cultivation. The reason why he chose to leave was because he didn't want to implicate Wang Kai. However, he didn't expect that Wang Kai would actually come to the 8 Desolations and even become a heavenly soldier expert. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have acted so heartless and come to the 8 Desolations. It wouldn't be as awkward as it was now. However, Wang Kai didn't know Jing Xian's thoughts at all. Seeing that she was still indifferent, Wang Kai suddenly became angry. He immediately shook his body and raised his hand to make a move. Come here. Buzz. Whoosh. You bang. Suddenly, under the suppression of Wang Kai's full force, Jing Xian didn't even have the chance to resist and was directly pulled into his arms. Slap. Immediately after, without waiting for Jing Xian to have the chance to struggle, Wang Kai directly raised his hand and fiercely slapped her buttock. That clear and crisp sound immediately reverberated within the room. You lecher! Jing Xian, who was just about to struggle, had already lost her soul from the slap. Her face was red as she reprimanded in a low voice and didn't dare to move. She was afraid that Wang Kai would do something shameful to her. How could she, who knew Wang Kai's character, let her have her way? Sister Xian, Yui, oh my god, ah! Hiss, hiss, Nangong Huowu stood up in shock, but suddenly felt pain in her buttocks. She immediately frowned in pain and screamed a few times. A string of previous memories also appeared in her mind. Only now did she know what Wang Kai had done to her other identity. Bastard! 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 Wang Kai, I will definitely kill you! Buzz! Rumble! In an instant, Nangong Huowu angrily rebuked again and again. With a wave of her hand, she unleashed a wave of pressure that mercilessly suppressed Wang Kai. You're a little bold. A mere supreme being dares to use force against this sect master? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he saw this. With a flip of his hand, a wave of pressure swept out. Buzz! Bang! Under the collision of pressure, Nangong Huowu was immediately shaken to the point that she vomited blood and fell on the bed. Her beautiful eyes widened as blood hung from the corner of her mouth. She glared at Wang Kai in anger. She never imagined that Wang Kai would be so shameless. Wang Kai, what did you do to Wu Er? Jing Xian frowned and gently pushed Wang Kai a few steps back. In this regard, Wang Kai did not choose to resist. Instead, he looked at her in surprise and said with a playful smile, "What do you think I can do to her? You have no buttocks and no breasts. This sect master doesn't like you. Only you are my flesh and blood." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. You! Nangong Huowu's beautiful eyes widened when she heard this. Her anger grew even stronger. The calmness and indifference that she maintained before disappeared in an instant. Sister Xian, the reincarnation realm will listen to you. The first heavenly emperor is already dead. Buzz! As soon as her voice fell, Nangong Huowu tore the void and left angrily. It's the 10th generation. Whether or not we can go to the Tianzhou region depends on this, Jing Xian said softly. Wang Kai slightly raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He shrugged and said with a casual smile, "Who is Nangong Huowu? She even dared to kill the first heavenly emperor. She even asked this sect master to destroy all the direct descendants of the Nangong family. She's not from the 8 Desolaces, nor is she from the Nangong family. I only met her when I went to the Tianzhou region," Jing Xian said indifferently. Went to the Tianzhou region tens of thousands of years ago? Nangong Huowu had lived for tens of thousands of years? Shouldn't she have only cultivated for 10,000 years? What happened? Wang Kai asked with a frown. Jing Xian gently shook her head. Her eyes flickered as she said, "Back then, she was hunted down in the Tianzhou region. I happened to save her, but I didn't expect to be involved in a disaster. In the end, I could only protect her. Now that I returned to the 8 Desolaces, I found out that she had become the Heavenly Emperor. I didn't ask how she did it. She went to the Tianzhou region to find a way to break the boundary of the 8 Desolaces. But because of a woman who was hunted down, she was beaten down to the mortal world. Recultivate?" Such words made the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitch fiercely. He couldn't help but walk forward and gently knock on her forehead. He was speechless as he said, "You're stupid enough. It seems that you have to stay close to this sect master in the future." Chapter 581. I didn't do it out of kindness. I don't have that kind of heart. I saved her because of her identity. If she can return to Tianzhou and take control of the ethereal wonderland, the boundary of the 8 Desolates will be broken and the experts of the 8 Desolates will be able to enter Tianzhou easily, Jing Xian said. Ethereal wonderland? Could it be that this fake Nangong Huowu had a very powerful identity in the Tianzhou province? Jing Xian had saved her with a purpose. Thinking of this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and could not help but smile playfully. "Little Xian, you're quite shrewd. You have to stay by my side more in the future. In this way, who would dare to scheme against me?" Jing Xian's eyes flashed. She could only remain silent when dealing with someone as flexible as Wang Kai. Otherwise, she would give him a chance to brag. One moment he called her stupid, the next moment he said she was smart. His ultimate goal was to keep Jing Xian by his side. Niu Zhetian snorted and said, "The current Heavenly Emperor is a fake. The first Heavenly Emperor was killed by her. Only the Supreme Heavenly Ghost is still alive. Little Wang, don't forget what you promised me. Kill the Supreme Heavenly Ghost." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders when he heard this. He glanced at him with a playful expression and said with a mocking smile, "Old cow, you asked this sect master to destroy Heavenly Ghost Supreme because you wanted to seize the opportunity to seize his position so that you could return to the Supreme Realm. But now you can step into the reincarnation realm first. Don't you want to become an 8 Desolate Supreme?" Whoosh! Niu Zhetian's eyes widened. He looked at Wang Kai in disbelief. After a while, he snorted and said, "Little brat Wang, I didn't expect you to see through me. But you're only half right. I really want to kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost." Although Niu Zhetian's intention had been seen through by Wang Kai, he still felt warm and gratified. After all, Wang Kai already knew the truth, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he agreed to kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost. Of course, he wanted to make Niu Zhetian happy. But now, Niu Zhetian had the opportunity to become a supreme cultivator of 8 Desolates. Even though Niu Zhetian wouldn't be able to reach a higher level after breaking through to the 8 Baron Supreme layer, it was his choice. "Old cow, there are some things that I need to make clear to you. Once you step into the 8 Desolates Supreme Realm, you will no longer be able to step into the Heavenly Soldier Realm or even higher realms." Wang Kai frowned and said indifferently, "Whoosh." When Niu Zhetian heard that, he was surprised. He snorted and smiled. 8 Desolation Supremes is enough. If I want to, I'll go to the Celestial Continent. I'm not in the mood for that yet. Was that really the case? Wang Kai sighed secretly. If Niu Zhetian wanted to go to the Celestial Continent with him, he wouldn't refuse. But he didn't want to. But then again, Niu Zhetian had always been lazy. Wouldn't it be difficult for him to practice cultivation? But he was a Xian Wu cultivator. If he wanted to cultivate, he wouldn't be too bad. Well, since that's the case, this sect master will help you kill the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign, and then help you step into the 8 Desolates Supreme stage. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a casual smile. It was as if he was talking about something very simple. In fact, it was exactly so. Wang Kai, who was in the Heavenly Soldier realm, was the strongest in the 8 Baron Supreme layer. He was invincible. If he wanted to kill a Supreme Heavenly Ghost, he could do it with just a flick of his finger. Niu Zhetian naturally knew that Wang Kai was acting tough, but he couldn't refute him. With his current cultivation, he was indeed qualified to act tough. Clap clap. Niu Zhetian snorted and said, "When I step into the 8 Desolates Supreme layer, I'll bring the Wang clan to the 8 Baron Supreme layer. I'll give you a barren land and call you the Baron Lord." A barren land, Baron Lord, whoosh. When Wang Kai heard that, he frowned and turned around. He looked at Niu Zhetian and said, "Old Niu, you're quite generous. I'll help you become the strongest in the 8 Baron Supreme layer. In the end, you'll give the Wang clan a barren land? You'll call me the Baron Lord?" Clap clap. Niu Zhetian didn't mind. He said, "Good things come in pairs. 2. Ow ow. Bang. Plop." Before Niu Zhetian could finish talking, Wang Kai kicked him and sent him flying away. He landed outside the room with a series of loud bangs. The old master doesn't like a wasteland master. How many wastelands do you own? 8 Desolates is just the size of a thumb. You should keep it for yourself. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Buzz. Bang. Then, with a wave of Wang Kai's hand, the door was sealed by black chains. For a moment, the room was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Clap clap. You just want to shake the earth and the mountains? Why don't you just say it? Humph. You're too naive. Niu Zhetian got up from the ground and snorted disdainfully. Then, he wagged his tail and left. Inside the room, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at Jing Xian playfully. Jing Xian couldn't help but turn around. Her beautiful face was full of nervousness. She bit her red lips so hard that there were teeth marks on them. She looked quite charming. Although Wang Kai was unable to see Jing Xuan's current nervous appearance, he could tell from her slightly disorderly breathing how unstable her emotions were at this moment. There is a beauty that I will never forget when I see her. When I don't see her for a day, I miss her like crazy. The phoenix soars in the sky, looking for her everywhere. Unfortunately, she isn't in the east wall. I use the zither to write my heart. When will I see Sushi again? She comforts me. She is willing to marry me. She is willing to join hands with me. Let me fall. Wang Kai pretended to be sad. He shook his head and sighed. Jing Xian turned around and said apologetically, "It's not that I don't want to be with you. It's just that," bang. Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped his hand and pulled Jing Xian into his embrace. He whispered in her ear, "There's no need to say anything at this moment. As the saying goes, every minute of a good night is worth 1,000 gold. However, in my opinion, if I can hug you for a while, even if you give me the sky, I won't want it." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Swoosh. Then, under Jing Xian's blushing face and her gaze becoming unfocused, Wang Kai picked her up and carried her to the Celestial Emperor's bed, where they lay in each other's arms. Bastard, in the end, you still have to. As a few strands of clothes fell to the ground, the sound of moaning and panting echoed in the room. Chapter 582. In the blink of an eye, it was already the next morning. In Lingluo Palace, many guards and even palace maids did not sleep for the entire night. There were waves of moaning and panting, and the sound of the bed swaying was endless. As a result, many palace maids had dark circles under their eyes and were in a daze in the room as if they had lost their minds. As palace maids of the heavenly court, they naturally could not meet and fall in love with men. Many of them had never experienced the human world, and when they suddenly heard such undisguised sounds, it was naturally difficult for them to resist. It could be said that they were tormented. It would have been fine if there were some people behind his back. However, he intentionally made the sound louder and louder. It could be said that in just one night, the entire Lingluo Palace hated Wang Kai. Little Xianxian, do you also want to go to Tianzhou to cultivate? On the bed, Wang Kai leaned against it, half of his upper body exposed. In his arms was Jing Xian, whose face was still blushing. Her glowing jade-like skin was dotted with droplets of sweat. The land of Tianzhou is the origin of the heavenly Tao. It is rumored that it can connect to the starry sky, hide stars in its stomach, and destroy the sun and moon with a flick of its finger. As a martial cultivator, we naturally yearn for it, Jing Xian said softly as she panted. Tianzhou, the origin of the heavenly Tao, connected to the starry sky, hide stars in its stomach, destroy the sun and moon with a flick of its finger. Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. Although he was not very clear about cultivation, he had definitely never heard of such a magical place in the world. As for the so-called destruction of the sun and moon with a flick of its finger, Wang Kai himself was very familiar with it. Isn't that just what I bragged about in the past? Damn, there really is an elite who can destroy the sun and moon. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched as he thought to himself speechlessly. However, it was also because of this that Wang Kai could not help but yearn for the land of Tianzhou. Little Xianxian, when you went to Tianzhou back then, did you know how strong the experts there were? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Jing Xian's eyes flickered slightly when she heard this. She seemed to be reminiscing as she said softly, There are sects, sacred grounds, and other sects that stand in great numbers there. There's even the 9 Heavens Palace that controls the heavens. Although the myriad of races can coexist, all of them have to bow their heads to the 9 Heavens Palace. Thousands of races could coexist. Sects, holy lands, and sects stood in great numbers. Only the 9 Heavens Palaces ruled over the heavens. Although it was only a few words, Wang Kai's blood was boiling. How could such a wonderful place not have a bragging god? Haha, so it's the 9 Heavens Palace. Little Xian, it would have been great if you had known me earlier and become my woman. If that's the case, who in Tianzhou would dare to touch you? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. If Niu Zhetian was there, he would have seen that Wang Kai was bragging again. However, Jing Xian had been watered by Wang Kai at this moment and was already in love. As the saying goes, men and women in love are often a little silly. Although Jing Xian was the 8 Baron Supremes, she was no exception. Moreover, Wang Kai had reached the Heavenly Soldier realm in the 8 Baron Supremes. Jing Xian was quite surprised by this. What do you mean? Could it be that you're really from Tianzhou? Jing Xian blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in surprise. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped his hand and took out his fan. He unfurled it and gently waved it. He smiled faintly, of course. The 9 Heavens Palace is nothing more than my harem back in the day. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Bang! Swoosh! Lecture! In an instant, before Wang Kai could continue bragging, Jing Xian suddenly punched him and sent him flying out of the bed. He crashed into the table and chairs and shattered them. Swoosh! Then, Jing Xian raised her hand and put on her clothes neatly. She tore open the void and stepped into it. The moment she stepped in, her eyes were full of ridicule. Reincarnation Realm, enter from the center of the Supreme City, the Myriad Lightning Platform. The 4 great families are already waiting there. The rest of the Ho family are also waiting in the dark. Although you're powerful, you still have to be careful. Swoosh! As soon as she finished speaking, Jing Xian disappeared into the void. Wang Kai was naked, lying on his back on the debris of the table and chair. Hearing this, he shook his head speechlessly and sighed. It seems that this cult master's charm is still too great. She even wants to see with her own eyes the way I roll around naked. It's really sad. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the 6th grade Heavenly Soldier realm. Boy, can you stop bragging? Lord Cat's patience with you has reached its limit. Buzz! The Tower of Babel flew out from Wang Kai's earring. Under bursts of golden light, Lord Cat's angry complaints could be heard. Swoosh! Hearing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened. The corner of his mouth twitched. He gritted his teeth and sneered. Big stupid cat, what were you doing just now? Humph, Lord Cat has no time to watch your dirty business. Lord Cat has just received a message from the spiritual platform of the Sky Reaching School. In a year at most, Lord Cat will leave the 8 desolations and send the Tower of Babel back to the Sky Reaching School. If you don't have a suitable weapon, Lord Cat will accompany you for a year at most. Inside the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat stroked his long beard and said, The spiritual platform of the Sky Reaching School. Wang Kai was startled. He had heard that Lord Cat came from the Tianzhou. He had the Tower of Babel and was at the peak of the Supreme Being realm. However, because of the boundary of the 8 desolations, he was suppressed to the point of almost dying. He had just heard a lot about the Tianzhou from Jing Xian. Hearing Lord Cat's words, Wang Kai couldn't help but be curious. He asked curiously, Is the sky-reaching school very powerful in the Tianzhou? How is it compared to the Empyrean Palace? Whoosh! Hearing this, Lord Cat's mouth twitched. He stroked his long beard and snorted. The Empyrean Palace is the overlord of the Tianzhou. The sky-reaching school is just a little bit worse. Just a little bit worse? Just a little bit? Why do you look like you're lying? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile. Buzz. Lord Cat was so angry that he activated the Tower of Babel and retorted Wang Kai's divine soul. Kid, you can talk to Lord Cat and brag. But don't let Lord Cat see your face again. Not even your divine soul. Lord Cat snorted angrily. Seeing this, Wang Kai's smile became more playful. He immediately activated his divine soul and forced it into the Tower of Babel. Even if Lord Cat tried to stop him, he was powerless. Kid, you've gone too far. Lord Cat was so angry that his whole body trembled. His snow-white fur stood on end. Buzz. The Tower of Babel shone with golden light. However, it couldn't escape from Wang Kai's control. Seeing this, Lord Cat could only give up. 1 year? That's enough. Wait until I help Old Cow to step into the 8 Desolations Supreme Being realm. Then, I'll take care of the things that the old man has entrusted me. Then, I can step into the Tianzhou. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. With a flip of his hand, he took out the scroll that the old man had entrusted him. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. It seems that the scroll can't be handed over to the real Heavenly Emperor. I'm afraid that the fake one has killed it many years ago. Patter! As Wang Kai unfurled the scroll, he saw a woman on it. Wang Kai's pupils shrank when he saw her. It's her. Chapter 583. On the scroll, there was a woman whose appearance couldn't be complimented. On her round face, there were countless black spots. Her lips were like sausages. Especially her eyes, one was as big as a dragon's eye, and the other was as small as a soybean. Such a figure, such an appearance, instantly made the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitch fiercely. Wasn't this the ugly woman who pretended to be one of the 3 great beauties, Lu Wanwan, that he met at the Prime Minister's birthday banquet? A woman with a pleasant voice, but an ugly appearance. He never would have thought that the woman on the scroll would actually be her. Could she be the Celestial Emperor? What is the old man thinking? This scroll, you want me to hand it over to this woman? Wang Kai's brows twisted, and he said with a speechless expression. Buzz. Regarding this, Lord Cat, who was inside the heaven-reaching tower, stroked his long beard. His eyes flickered as he said, Hee, perhaps it's not what you think. Not? Hearing this, Wang Kai's brows twitched. He hurriedly put away the scroll and asked doubtfully, Big stupid cat, what do you mean by that? It's very simple. That day at the Prime Minister's birthday banquet, Lord Cat can see that her bone structure, appearance, and even cultivation talent have been sealed. Lord Cat said indifferently. Bone structure, appearance, cultivation talent, they were all sealed. Could it be? Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. That's right. That incomparably ugly woman, even if she isn't the real Nangong Huowu, she's definitely related to the heavenly court. Because in her sealed bloodline, there's the aura of the Nangong family. Lord Cat stroked his long beard and said with a smile. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. Pinching the scroll in his hand, a guess involuntarily emerged in his mind. The real Nangong Huowu, perhaps, is that incomparably ugly woman. And the one who caused her to become like this should be the current fake Celestial Emperor. If that's the case, the old man wants me to give the painting to the fake Celestial Emperor, right? Hearing Wang Kai's words, Lord Cat, who was in the heaven-reaching tower, nodded gently and laughed softly. If that's the case, then your grandfather's goal might be to use this to threaten the current fake Sky Emperor. Perhaps your Wang family also had a part in framing the real Sky Emperor 10,000 years ago. Whoosh! After he said that, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Based on the current situation and his guesses, what Old Cat said was possible. If that was the case, then why did the Wang clan stay away from the 8 barons after helping the fake Heavenly Emperor and turning the real Heavenly Emperor into an ugly woman? Burning the bridge after crossing the river? Wang Kai's pupils suddenly shrank. Regardless of whether his guess was true or false, there was a need to have a good chat with the Sky Emperor. Let's go to the reincarnation realm and see what the Sky Emperor's true purpose is. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled as he waved his fan. Supreme City, Myriad Lightning Platform. It was a huge white platform that seemed to connect the heavens. It pierced through the clouds and covered an area of 100 miles. At this moment, below the platform, experts from the 4 great families were gathered. Anyone below the Supreme Being realm could enter. Each family had 100,000 people. The 4 great families had more than 400,000 experts, all of whom were present. Even the family head, who had the strength of a peak heavenly master, was present. He also wanted to enter the reincarnation realm. Xiao Yun, Wang Liani, Bai Yu, and Wang Mia of the Wang clan. Bai Ling Bai Yan Yan, Ji Beichen, and Ji Beitong were also waiting with hidden joy. Above the void, Wang Kai floated over. He casually glanced around and fixed his gaze on the Bai clan's army. Wang Fan, Wang Tian, and Lin Yu were also there. Perhaps because their hearts and blood were connected, Lin Yu quickly raised her head to look at the void and met Wang Kai's eyes. Wang Tian did the same. Wang Fan, who was originally very excited, followed his parents' gaze to Wang Kai. His pupils suddenly shrank, and his face instantly turned ashen. There was even a flicker of fear in his eyes. Now that Wang Kai's name was known all over the world, and he had the strength of a peak supreme being, even though Wang Fan had consumed the Dao fruit, he still admitted that he was not Wang Kai's match. Although his heart was filled with anger and resentment and hatred, at this moment, he was more afraid. He was afraid that Wang Kai would do something to him. Wang Kai! Swoosh! Suddenly, a soldier in the Bai clan's army inadvertently glanced at Wang Kai, and his face instantly turned pale as he cried out in alarm. His shout was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of people raised their heads to look at Wang Kai, who was in the void. Everyone present already knew that Wang Kai had wiped out the Ho clan with a flip of his hand. And Wang Kai's terrifying strength, when he was dealing with Shangguan Susu, had already been witnessed by everyone. Was he here to enter the reincarnation realm? What if he entered? Who could benefit from the reincarnation realm? Wouldn't they all have to follow his lead? The 4 great clans were all secretly worried and terrified. Sect Leader Wang, how have you been? Sect Leader Wang, you have such a cultivation at such a young age. I admire you. Sect Leader Wang, are you married? Why don't you and the Ji clan? Sect Leader Wang, in an instant, the patriarchs and elders of the 4 great families cupped their fists respectfully and took the initiative to greet him. Even the Bai clan and the Wang clan, who had a grudge against Wang Kai, had to lower their heads at this moment. However, this scene was completely different in the eyes of Duo Tian's Supreme Being. At this moment, Wang Tian's face was twitching and his eyes were filled with regret. His heart was filled with despair. If he had chosen Wang Kai from the beginning, wouldn't it be easy for him to restore the Wang clan to its former glory? He could have done it without entering the reincarnation realm. But now there was no room for regret. Fanner, why are you still standing there like a fool? Why don't you greet your elder brother? With him around, you will definitely make a great leap in the reincarnation realm. Everyone will have to act according to your wishes. Wang Tian frowned and pretended to be exasperated with Wang Tian's failure to live up to his expectations. Whoosh! As soon as Wang Tian finished speaking, Wang Fan immediately came to his senses. His eyes flickered rapidly and he nodded knowingly. He stepped forward and cupped his fists, bowed and said, "Greetings, elder brother." Wang Tian, are you really going to let Kai stay away from us for the rest of our lives? Lin Yu's beautiful eyes reddened when she saw this. Her heart was filled with helplessness and bitterness. She was extremely disappointed with Wang Tian. None of the 4 great families present were fools. Previously, they had taken care of their younger brother and made things difficult for their elder brother. But now that their elder brother's cultivation had become stronger, they had to take care of their younger brother's safety and opportunities in the reincarnation realm. Would Wang Kai agree to this? Little did they know that Wang Kai's heart was filled with anger at this moment. Wang Fan's murderous intent towards him was especially obvious. Wang Tian, this cheap father, had made things difficult for him again and again for the sake of the Wang clan's glory. Now, he had the nerve to ask him to protect Wang Fan, to help him succeed in the reincarnation realm. Chapter 584. Wang Kai took a deep breath and glanced at him indifferently. He floated down from the sky and did not respond. Instead, he walked past Wang Fan and Wang Tian. As the saying goes, don't wash your dirty linen in public. Even if Wang Kai did not want to admit that he was related by blood, blood was still thicker than water in this body. Moreover, the old man, who was waiting bitterly in Fan Prefecture, did not want to see the father and son turn against each other. If he wanted to teach Wang Fan a lesson, he only needed to find a secluded place in the reincarnation realm and teach him a lesson. In front of hundreds of thousands of people, Wang Kai didn't want to use his family's affairs as a show for others to watch. That would be an unwise choice and action. After cultivating for so long, Wang Kai was still as arrogant as ever. However, he also knew what he should do and what he should not do. The only thing Wang Kai could do now was to ignore it. Suppress the anger in his heart and ignore it first. Disciple, why don't you greet your master when you see me? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. With his hands behind his back, he stood in front of Xiaoyun. Seeing Wang Kai's actions, everyone felt respect from the bottom of their hearts. The path of cultivation was long and years. Even if one had feelings, they would be polished by time. There were not many people who truly cared about family. However, Wang Kai was one of them. Regardless of how angry or dissatisfied he was, he had to give him some face. However, they did not know that the reason Wang Kai was able to endure it was because of the old man. If the old man knew that he had turned against his parents and brother in front of so many outsiders when the family reunited in the future, how would he deal with it? At this moment, Wang Fan's face was ashen. He gritted his teeth and glared at Wang Kai. He looked as if he could not wait to kill him on the spot. Wang Tian also frowned. His expression was ugly. He was extremely angry at Wang Kai's disregard. On the other hand, Lin Yu was already covering her mouth. Her eyes were red. Although she held back her tears, her heart was cold. Master, are you also going to enter the reincarnation realm? Xiaoyun was slightly stunned. He originally thought that with Wang Kai's current status and cultivation, Wang Kai wouldn't pay attention to him. After all, Wang Kai's reputation in the outside world had always been arrogant, ruthless, and merciless. But now, Wang Kai could still ignore the difference in their cultivation levels and take the initiative to greet him. His actions moved Xiaoyun's heart and made his blood boil. Perhaps in name, he and Wang Kai were master and disciple, but in his heart they were brothers. Because only a true brother would not forget you when you reach a certain height. And let's go in and have some fun. Since my beloved disciple wants to go in as well, then follow me. With me around, you are the most awesome type of person. No one could compete. Even the heavens and earth must bow. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with a rather proud expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched fiercely. The admiration they had just built up completely disappeared at this moment. It was good that he valued friendship and knew when to advance and retreat. But his bragging had gone too far. It was really unbearable. Even if Wang Kai's current combat strength could dominate the 8 wastelands, he couldn't say that he could destroy heaven and earth, right? Ah, isn't this Sister Ling? Tsk, Yan is also here. Come, one on the left and one on the right. Let me have some fun. Wang Kai slightly raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile. Whoosh. When she heard these words, Bai Linger was so frightened that her pretty face turned deathly white. She immediately recalled the incident in the army camp. Immediately, she clamped her legs together and involuntarily hugged her arms in front of her chest. Her eyes stared at Wang Kai in panic. Last time, she was really scared by Wang Kai. On the contrary, Bai Yan did not shrink back in the slightest. Instead, her charming face blushed as she lightly nodded her head. With light steps, she took the initiative to walk to Wang Kai's side. Her delicate body leaned into Wang Kai's embrace. Yan, you, such a scene immediately made the Bai family master frown. He couldn't help but glance at Wang Tian, who had a cold face. Originally, he had planned to marry Bai Yan to Wang Fan. After all, he could use this to win over 2 heavenly sovereigns. But now, Wang Kai's cultivation was so strong that even a sovereign would be defeated. Thinking of this, the Bai family master was secretly happy and didn't stop it. If he could marry Wang Kai, it would be more powerful than having 2 heavenly sovereigns. Tsk, Sister Ling don't you want to come? If you don't want to come, then forget it. Yan alone is enough. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a playful smile. He generously stretched out his hand and hugged Bai Yan. Whoosh! Such a scene made the veins on Wang Tian's forehead bulge. Wang Fan, who was beside him, was so angry that his body kept trembling. He clenched his fists and made cracking sounds. First he ignored her. Now he wants to snatch her. Moreover, the Bai family master and the many elders of the Bai family didn't have the slightest intention of opposing. Looking at the eyes of the crowd, they were all filled with ridicule. Naturally, they knew that the Bai family master had betrothed Bai Yan to Wang Fan, the second son of 2 heavenly sovereigns, but they weren't married yet. But now, not long after the marriage was established, it was heartlessly broken by Wang Kai. What made the crowd feel even more amused was that Bai Yan actually took the initiative to throw herself into Wang Kai's arms. Bai family master! Wang Tian's expression was ugly as he shouted in a deep voice. However, the Bai family master acted as if he didn't hear anything. He just smiled kindly and looked at Wang Kai and Bai Yan, who were hugging each other. You! Wang Tian's eyes became colder. He naturally knew the nature of the Bai family master. Brother! She is. Fan shut up. Whoosh! Just when Wang Fan couldn't bear it and was about to speak, he was reprimanded by the heartbroken Lin Yu. The 2 of them had feelings for each other, and the parents had agreed. If he said that Wang Fan and Bai Yan were engaged at this moment, it would undoubtedly be even more humiliating. Father! Wang Fan clenched his teeth, and his eyes were red with anger. Especially when he looked at Bai Yan's happy appearance, his heart felt as if there were thousands of ants crawling, and he couldn't bear it. Alas, it's been so long. It should be time to enter the reincarnation realm, right? Sky Emperor, why don't you come out and open the reincarnation realm? Do you want me to catch you? Whoosh! Just when Wang Tian was about to speak, Wang Kai spoke first, and his heart was blocked to the extreme. Naturally, he knew that Wang Kai's actions were hinting that he didn't want to talk to him. And he wouldn't give in. Even the Sky Emperor dared to shout at him like this, which proved that if he continued to push his luck, he wouldn't show any mercy. Thinking of this, Wang Tian could only suppress his anger, and his eyes were indifferent. Sect Master Wang, with your current cultivation, even the 8 Desolation Supremes are no match for you. Do you still need me to open the small myriad thunder platform and open the entrance to the reincarnation realm? Buzz. As the Sky Emperor's voice rang out in the void, everyone was stunned by his words. Even the 8 Desolation Supremes were no match for Wang Kai. Chapter 585. Haha, of course. For a person as awesome as I am, even if I straighten my back and break the sky, so what if I break the world of reincarnation? Wouldn't it be a piece of cake? Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Could break the sky, but why did he straighten his back? Could it be that the name of the Dissing Sky sect came from this? Everyone's mouth twitched when they heard this. They had seen Wang Kai's bragging ability. Indeed, no one could compare with him, and no one dared to compare with him. In that case, Sect Master Wang will be in charge of the reincarnation realm this time. If you need anything, you can summon me. Buzz. As the Sky Emperor's voice sounded again, everyone was shocked again. They all looked at Wang Kai with complicated expressions, especially Wang Tian. They couldn't figure out what kind of ability Wang Kai had to be able to get to where he was today. Even heavenly emperors could be ordered around at will, doing as Wang Kai wished. Crack! The void suddenly tore open. Led by Lu Tian, Yang Wei and the others floated down from the void. Sect Master, you are really awesome. Even the Sky Emperor took the initiative to send us here. Haha, he even gave the Lingshao Hall to me. Lu Tian put his hands on his waist and smiled excitedly. Yang Wei and the others were also excited. They thought that the Dissing Sky sect wouldn't be able to achieve much, but now it was more than just achieving something. Wang Kai nodded slightly. With him around, Lu Tian and the others could do whatever they wanted in the heavenly court. No one dared to stop them. In that case, it would be strange if the Sky Emperor didn't take the initiative to send them out of the heavenly court. Old Bull has already entered the reincarnation realm, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sent a voice transmission into the void with a calm expression. Very quickly, the Heavenly Emperor's sound transmission appeared in Wang Kai's mind. I naturally won't go back on my word. But Sect Master Wang, if you enter the reincarnation realm, you must not use a cultivation above the peak of the Empyrean realm. Otherwise, once the reincarnation realm collapses, no one else will be able to survive. Senior Xian Wu is no exception. Whoosh. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned. He was not allowed to use cultivation beyond the peak of the Empyrean realm? If that was the case, wouldn't any big shot be able to challenge him? Although Wang Kai hated trouble, he felt that it was quite interesting when he thought about it. How boring would it be if there were no opponents? There was nothing wrong with playing around. Thinking of this, Wang Kai gently waved his fan and said with a faint smile, Heavenly Emperor, quickly open the reincarnation realm. This sect master is a little impatient from waiting. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place became so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. Everyone stared blankly at Wang Kai. Even the Heavenly Emperor, who was in the void, was stunned at this moment. Didn't they just say that the Heavenly Emperor did not need to do anything? Why did they have to, however? Before the Heavenly Emperor could respond, Wang Kai smiled again and said, Unfortunately, although this sect master is awesome, domineering, handsome, and awesome, there are not many things that are worthy of my personal attention. A mere reincarnation realm is not enough for me to condescend and open. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Braggart. Bragging. After all this time, he just wanted to brag and show off. In the end, he was just lazy and did not want to do anything himself. This made everyone understand that Wang Kai was definitely a weirdo. Buzz. Crack. Rumble. Suddenly, a silver-white halo pierced through the void and hit the myriad thunder platform directly, causing the platform to float up into the sky. It rose from the ground, revealing a huge hole in the ground. At the edge of the hole, there was a milky white barrier that was slowly flowing. Let's go. Enter. Quickly enter the reincarnation realm. There is only 1 year, let's enter quickly, we must. Ah, don't push me. In an instant, the experts of the 4 big families all rushed into the reincarnation realm. Even the patriarchs and elders found it hard to maintain their composure at this moment. It was as if they had gone mad. Wang Tian and Lin Yu looked at Wang Kai with complicated expressions. They wanted to say something but did not say anything. They could only lead Wang Fan into the reincarnation realm. Sect Master, we. Seeing this, Lu Tian and the others were anxious, especially when they saw hundreds of thousands of people rushing to enter the reincarnation realm. Wang Kai gently nodded when he heard this. He took out another restriction jade plate and handed it to Yang Wei. Then he said, "Go in. If there is any danger, you can use this jade plate to come to this sect master's side." Once they entered the reincarnation realm, they would be scattered and could not gather together. It was impossible to gather them without using a special method. Lu Tian and the others nodded when they heard this. Then, they rushed into the reincarnation realm with joyful and expectant faces. This time, it would be a qualitative leap for them. Soon, in less than 100 breaths, hundreds of thousands of people had successfully entered the reincarnation realm. Outside, only Wang Kai and Bai Yanyan were left. "Ho clan, if you want to seek revenge from me, why don't you enter the reincarnation realm first and increase your cultivation? It won't be too late to find me then. Of course, if you choose to die now, I don't mind." Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and said with a rather indifferent smile. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, numerous groups appeared in the distance. There were close to 10,000 people, and all of them were Ho clan's elders and direct line of descent experts. Leading them was a woman with a red veil on her face. Although her appearance could not be seen clearly, her figure was very charming. She was the kind of woman that could make people desire her the moment they saw her. Lu Wanwan and the undead of the Ho family thanked Sect Master for his kindness. The lady leading the group bowed. In the blink of an eye, she led the group from the Ho clan into the reincarnation realm. Wang Kai did not have any intention of stopping them. Instead, he was curious about Lu Wanwan, one of the 3 great beauties. Shouldn't she have been kidnapped by the Ho family? Now she had become the head of the Ho family? Cough cough. Sect Master. Cough cough. Suddenly, a voice that was extremely familiar yet also extremely annoying was heard. It was Prime Minister Ji. Behind him was Ji Rushua. Only the 2 of them came. Sect Master Wang, it seems that your calamity has passed. I have offended you before. I hope you don't blame me. Rushua is willing to stay by your side and serve you. Ji Rushua said with a bow. Wang Kai was taken aback by the sincerity in her eyes. She was at odds with him before, but now she took the initiative to show goodwill? As for her so-called calamity, could it be that Prime Minister Ji had asked Elder Tianji to calculate it? If that was the case, it could be considered a calamity when he encountered Heartless Sovereign in the 6th Ultimate Forbidden Land. Chapter 586. Could it be that she was so obedient because of Prime Minister Ji's old illness? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at her playfully. Suddenly, he shook his head and smiled. Miss Ji, you don't have to be like this. I can help Prime Minister recover. As for why I'm helping, Miss Rushua will know in the future. Swish. Hearing this, Ji Rushua's eyebrows curved. Her beautiful eyes were filled with joy as she looked at Wang Kai. Regardless of the so-called reason, she bowed and said, "Thank you, young Master Wang, for your kindness. Rushua will never forget it." Regarding this, Prime Minister Ji and Bai Yanyan did not say much. Wang Kai had made it very clear that he was not helping for free. It was just that he had not said the conditions yet. However, when she came, Ji Rushue had already made preparations. She was prepared for Wang Kai to make things difficult for her, and even make her lose her virginity. Therefore, no matter what Wang Kai asked her to do in the end, she would agree. Now, in addition to being pleasantly surprised, there was only a little bit of worry. As for Prime Minister Ji, although her face was pale, her eyes were filled with a deep smile. That smile was as if victory was in her hands and she knew what Wang Kai would ask of her in the end. Well, if that's the case, then I'll cast a spell to cure the illness. It's actually very simple. I only need one breath to cure Prime Minister Ji's old illness. However, in order to show that I'm very diligent, I'll use this to cure the illness. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai slid his wrist under everyone's surprised gazes. As the bright red blood flowed out, everyone's faces turned pale with fright. Even though they knew that Wang Kai was bragging when he said that he could cure the illness in one breath. However, they did not expect that Wang Kai would use blood to cure the illness. When the flowing blood was held in the air by Wang Kai's battle chi, the amount was enough to fill a bowl. Blood can cure the illness? Young Master Wang, you. Ji Rushue frowned, anger appearing in her eyes. She thought that Wang Kai would sincerely save her, but she didn't expect that it was just a prank. However, before Ji Rushue could finish, Prime Minister Ji waved his hand to stop her. He walked up to the blood, opened his mouth, and swallowed it all. Then, under Ji Rushue's confused and worried gaze, Prime Minister Ji's pale face returned to normal. In just a few breaths of time, he had completely recovered. Wang Kai's blood was so powerful. It actually had such power. Many thanks Kai for saving me. Haha, Rushue, I'll leave her to you. As soon as he finished speaking, Prime Minister Ji laughed heartily and turned to leave. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. Why did it seem like he had betrayed Ji Rushue? Who would do something like that? Ji Rushue blushed as she looked at Wang Kai with her beautiful eyes. For a moment she felt a little awkward. She had already received a hint from the old Prime Minister when she came. Wang Kai had a way to cure her father. He would even become her cultivation partner. This was destined and couldn't be changed. It was because of this that Ji Rushue was willing to beg Wang Kai without any complaint. However, Ji Rushue, Prime Minister Ji, and even the old Prime Minister knew all this, but Wang Kai didn't know anything. Now, Wang Kai was certain that Prime Minister Ji had betrayed Ji Rushue. Sigh, I really feel sorry for you. Rushue, in order to cure your father, he actually… Sigh. Forget it, just follow me from now on. In this world, only a kind-hearted person like me would take you in. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. In his heart, he really felt sorry for Ji Rushue. As for the things that Tianji Elder had calculated, Wang Kai didn't care at all, nor did he want to care. Anyway, he wouldn't suffer any losses, so why should he care so much? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th level of the Heavenly Soldier realm. Pucci, as soon as these words came out, Ji Rushue pursed her lips into a smile. Especially when she saw Wang Kai's sincere look of pity for her, she felt that it was extremely funny. Actually, he's not that hateful, Ji Rushue thought to herself. Thinking of this, Ji Rushue's courage grew. Regardless of the old grudges, she walked directly to Wang Kai's side, raised her jade-like hand, and pushed Bai Yanyan to the side. She turned around and stood there. Although she didn't hug Wang Kai like Bai Yanyan, her cute and lovable appearance was really worth looking at. In this regard, Wang Kai didn't have any objections. Instead, he felt that it was very appropriate and normal. He had already bled to save his father, but his father still looked like he was betraying Ji Rushue. Logically speaking, the current him was affectionate and righteous. Not only did he save her father, but he also took in her, who was homeless. Miss Ji, you're just a servant girl now. Swish. Suddenly, Bai Yanyan's eyes turned and she directly used her cultivation to push Ji Rushue back a few steps. Then, she intimately stretched out her soft jade-like arms and hugged Wang Kai. Wang Kai could clearly feel the soft touch on his arm. Bai Yanyan, that big white rabbit, had pushed him to the limit of ecstasy. Then what are you? You're just a fox spirit of the Bai family. Back then, the Bai family was just a small and barren clan. If it weren't for your ancestors, the nine-tailed fox clan, how could they reach their current status? Others don't know, but that doesn't mean I don't know. You're just a little fox. Ji Rushue said in a rather cold tone. Looking at Bai Yanyan, who was clinging on to Wang Kai, Ji Rushue already had the anger that a woman should have. Perhaps there was no love between her and Wang Kai, but as a woman, she naturally couldn't give in. What's more, Elder Tianji's divination had already clearly stated that she would be together with Wang Kai. Since that was the case, how could she give in? Okay, you don't need to be angry. This sect master is very clear that a young man like this sect master is naturally very popular. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. At this moment, Wang Kai was simply about to die from happiness. After coming to the 8 desolations, he could be considered to have mixed in with beauties by his side. What is a young man with 3 hardnesses? Suddenly, a puzzled and extremely cold voice sounded. Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue were also extremely surprised by this voice's question. So much so that even Wang Kai didn't care who the voice belonged to. Of course it's the cultivation, the looks, and the little brother. Wang Kai's expression was rather proud as he smiled. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Chapter 587. You shameless! As soon as Wang Kai's voice fell, Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue's faces turned red. They never thought that he would say such words. Not only has your shameless character not changed, but it has also improved. Whoosh! That icy voice rang out once again. This time, it caused Wang Kai to abruptly turn around. Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue also turned their heads. When they saw the beautiful woman in front of them, they were shocked and couldn't help but take a few steps back in fear. White impermanence! You're finally here? But it seems a bit late. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile. In front of him was White Impermanence, who he had met in Soul Break Valley. She was dressed in white and was surrounded by an icy aura of death. She wore a tall official's hat with the words, "Wealth at First Sight," written on it. Wang Kai had long known that Supreme Heavenly Ghost would send White Impermanence to find him, but he didn't expect her to come so late. Back then, his cultivation wasn't high enough, so he might have been afraid of Supreme Heavenly Ghost. But now, Wang Kai not only didn't have to worry about Supreme Heavenly Ghost, but also wanted to kill her. Niu Zhetian wanted to kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost, and the current Heavenly Emperor also had the same intention. Therefore, in Wang Kai's opinion, it was indeed too late for the Heavenly Ghost's supremacy to seek him out now. I know your cultivation is higher than Supreme Heartless, and Supreme Heavenly Ghost also knows this, but Supreme Heavenly Ghost still sent me to find you. Do you know why? White Impermanence said coldly. There was no trace of fear in her indifferent eyes, but instead, they were full of ridicule and disdain. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyebrows suddenly raised. He opened the folding fan with a click and said with a rather indifferent smile, "Why is that? Could it be that you want to say that Supreme Heavenly Ghost is very strong? Strong enough to defeat this sect master?" Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue suddenly reacted. It turned out that White Impermanence had come to find Wang Kai to threaten him. Moreover, this was Supreme Heavenly Ghost's intention. Could it be that Wang Kai was going to fight Supreme Heavenly Ghost? With his temper, he probably would, right? As they thought of this, the two women stood quietly by the side and did not say anything else. Knowing Wang Kai's character, they had already determined that Wang Kai would not give in. Of all the sovereigns in the 8 barons, only the Supreme Heavenly Ghost is immortal. As an envoy of hell, I don't know how strong he is, but I do know that the Supreme Heavenly Ghost is several times stronger than the Heavenly Emperor. Bai Wuchang said indifferently. The look in his eyes was clearly telling Wang Kai to accept his fate. He's even more powerful than the Celestial Arch. I'm scared to death of such a badass Heavenly Ghost supremacy. Tell me, what does he want me to do? Wang Kai asked with a curious expression. Although he said that he was afraid, Wang Kai didn't have that kind of expression on his face at all. Seeing this, Bai Wuchang's beautiful eyes flickered slightly. She really admired Wang Kai's courage and confidence. But it was only admiration. In Bai Wuchang's opinion, Wang Kai was still too arrogant. From the Death Valley until now, he was still frivolous and had not changed. In Bai Wuchang's opinion, this kind of arrogance was stupid. You two leave for a while, Bai Wuchang said faintly. Whoosh! Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue looked at each other, and finally looked at Wang Kai. Even though Bai Wuchang's cold death chi was very scary, Bai Yanyan and Ji Rushue were not afraid to the point of obeying. They were all women, and the other party was a female ghost. Why should they submit? Ha ha ha, there's no need to leave. They are my confidants, so naturally they are qualified to stay and listen. Also, you'd better hurry up. I still have to enter the reincarnation realm to show off. I don't have much time to waste with you. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled impatiently. Whoosh! Hearing these words, a cold light flashed in Bai Wuchang's eyes. She simply ignored them and took out a white decree. As she opened it, she said, "Kneel down and receive the decree. Kneel down. Receive the decree." Damn you! Supreme Heavenly Ghost seems to want to disappear completely as soon as possible, right? He actually wants me, such a powerful figure, to kneel down and receive the decree? Was his head kicked by a donkey? Give it to me. Patter! Suddenly, Wang Kai's face darkened and he snorted angrily. With a flip of his hand, he forcibly snatched the decree. Bai Wuchang was shocked and was about to reprimand him when she saw that the decree had been opened by Wang Kai. Within it, a wisp of Supreme Heavenly Ghost's thought rang out. Wang Kai, kill all of the living beings in the reincarnation realm. White Impermanence will assist you. Once all of them are dead, take the bloodstones from the reincarnation blood pool and bring them to the soul-shattering valley. When the time comes, I will reward you with all of the 8 desolaces. Whoosh! As the thought dissipated, the veins on Wang Kai's forehead bulged. Crack! Crack! Wang Kai clenched his fist and crushed the decree into pieces. He's too good at showing off. Too good at showing off. How dare he talk to me in a commanding tone? No, I'm going to the Soul Break Valley to kill him now. Wang Kai said, gnashing his teeth. No, he can't die for the time being. Moreover, the reincarnation realm will close in 100 breath. If you want to open it again, you have to wait a year. You'd better enter quickly and help Senior Xian Wu reach the 8 Desolations Supreme Realm. As for him, leave him to me. The Sky Emperor's voice suddenly rang out from the void and resounded in Wang Kai's mind. From his words, it was obvious that he was very confident that he could kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned and the corners of his mouth twitched fiercely. He took a deep breath and said, "No. His head must be taken by me. You can't touch him. I will solve the matter of the reincarnation realm as soon as possible, and then directly destroy the reincarnation realm. There's no need to wait a year. Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai flipped his hand and released his pressure, directly sweeping Bai Yanyan, Ji Rushue, and Bai Wuchang into the reincarnation realm. In the void, the Sky Emperor stood silently, watching Wang Kai and the others disappear into the reincarnation realm. He couldn't help but smile faintly. Haha, as long as I kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost, I will definitely reach the Heavenly Soldier realm. At that time, I will return to Tianzhou. So what if I leave the 8 desolations to you? Even if you don't want me to kill Supreme Heavenly Ghost first, what can you do? Yun Kongling, what you're doing will anger him. Suddenly, Jing Xian's figure also appeared in the void. Hearing this, the Sky Emperor's eyes flickered. He pursed his lips and chuckled. Sister Xian, things have come to this point. I can't stop now. If you stop me, I can only risk being discovered by my enemies in Tianzhou and summon them to destroy the 8 desolations. Chapter 588. Haha, I don't mean to stop you. It's just that it's not easy for you to reach your current level after tens of thousands of years. If you anger Wang Kai, you might. Jing Xian shook her head and smiled helplessly. However, she was interrupted by Yun Kongling, the Heavenly Emperor. Sister Xian, don't worry. As long as I reach the Heavenly Soldier realm, I can ascend to Tianzhou. Tianzhou is so big. How can a small place like 8 Wilderness compare to it? Even if he has a secret method to enter Tianzhou, he won't be able to find me. Yun Kongling smiled confidently. Hearing that, Jing Xian frowned slightly. She was a little unhappy that Wang Kai didn't have the ability to enter Tianzhou. However, on second thought, Jing Xian was also worried. No one knew what kind of secret technique Wang Kai used to be able to ignore the boundary of the 8 desolates, step into the Supreme Being, and even step into the Heavenly Soldier realm. However, the important thing was that Wang Kai didn't ascend to Tianzhou directly. Instead, he stayed in 8 Wilderness. In 8 Wilderness ancient times, experts who reached the Heavenly Soldier realm would automatically fly to Tianzhou. However, Wang Kai didn't do that. He must have a way to enter Tianzhou. Yes, he is the successor of Tongtian. Back then, I was able to sneak into Tianzhou with the help of Tongtian's inheritance. Naturally, he can do it too. Jing Xian thought to herself. She glanced at Yun Kongling indifferently and then turned around and disappeared into the void. Heavenly Emperor Yun Kongling didn't care about that at all. His eyes were full of confidence and madness. At the same time, in the reincarnation realm, in a green forest surrounded by clouds and a waterfall, Wang Kai was sitting cross-legged on a big rock. He looked at a small beast in front of him with surprise. The small beast was snow-white. Rather than a beast, it was more like a furry meatball. It just so happened that this meatball had 2 big, bright eyes and a thin red mouth that was like a willow leaf. Behind the little beast, there was a 1-meter-long tail. The tip of the tail was triangular, just like the devil's tail he had seen in his previous life. However, the small beast's tail was the same color as its fur. They were both snow-white. Little guy, what the hell are you? Why do you keep following me? Are you a female? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. After entering the reincarnation realm, he was not affected at all. But Bai Yanyan, Ji Rushue, and Bai Wuchang were sent to different places by the restrictions of the reincarnation realm. As for Wang Kai, he could rely on the system to ignore the rules of the reincarnation realm. Using his spirit, he quickly discovered the so-called reincarnation blood pool. However, before Wang Kai could leave, he was entangled by this little white beast. No matter where he went, it would chase after him relentlessly. What made Wang Kai even more speechless was that it did not speak at all, nor did it answer. Although its eyes had a human-like light, it did not have any intention of communicating with Wang Kai. Little thing, if you don't speak, this sect master will pluck all your fur and roast you on a tree branch. Looking at your chubby appearance, you must have a lot of meat, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and pretended to smile sinisterly. Swoosh. As soon as these words came out, the little white beast's white fur immediately stood up. It was so frightened that it swung its tail, turned its head, and ran wildly. However, after running for a few hundred meters, it stopped and nimbly jumped onto a few trees. Using the green leaves to hide its body, it secretly stared at Wang Kai. Obviously, it was still unwilling to lose sight of Wang Kai. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai became even more curious. It was very strange. Why was this little beast following him? Little guy, you have to understand that if this sect master hurries with all his strength, you won't be able to catch up with this sect master. Otherwise, tell me honestly, are you a male or a female? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and said with a playful smile. Swoosh. As soon as his voice fell, the little white beast, which he thought could communicate with him, still did not have any reaction. It was still hiding in the tree, thinking that it was very well hidden. Little guy, this beast is called the heaven-swallowing beast. It can swallow anything. In the Tianzhou, this heaven-swallowing beast is already extinct. If you can keep it as your demon pet, in the future when you go to the Tianzhou, you will be like a fish in water. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord stroked his long beard and smiled. Heaven-swallowing beast? An extinct species in the Tianzhou? If he could get it, he would be like a fish in water in the Tianzhou? Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at the little beast with a puzzled expression. He could not help but ask curiously, even if it can swallow the heavens, how can it help this sect master to be like a fish in water in the Tianzhou? Little guy, the heaven-swallowing beast's ability is not limited to this. Its true ability is to swallow the opponent's power of the heavens and turn it into its own power. Think about it, if you fight with an expert and it is by your side, it will completely swallow the opponent's power of the heavens. Then, your opponent will be no different from an ordinary person. Cat Lord stroked his long beard and smiled. Devouring the power of the heavens. Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. His own power of the heavens was at the first level. If it was devoured by him, wouldn't that mean that he had lost the power of the first level of the power of the heavens? And in the Tianzhou, if he met an opponent with the power of the heavens and used the heaven-swallowing beast to devour the power of the heavens, it would mean that the opponent no longer had the ability to fight someone of a higher level. As a result, he was indeed no different from an ordinary person. Host, Wang Kai Profession, Martial Artist Realm, 7th Grade Heavenly Soldier Dao Technique, The Way of Bragging Sacred Art, Luck Deprivation Technique, Great Summoning Technique, 12 Revolutions of the Silver Moon Equipment, Tong Tian Tower, Fan of Thousand Transformations Power of the Heavens, Level 1 Star Source Points, 0 Physique, Impenetrable Protector Beast, None Bragging Points, 15,000 Experience, 0500000. Wang Kai could not help but use his mind instructs, in a second, to take a look. When he looked at the little beast again, he grinned and laughed softly. I was wondering what you had taken a fancy to. So it's the power of the heavens, swoosh. As soon as he said that, the little beast's eyes rapidly blinked. Its eyes were filled with doubt and thought. It was as if it did not know about the power of the heavens. It did not grow up in the Tianzhou, so it is natural that it does not know about the power of the heavens. However, the heaven-swallowing beast is naturally curious about the power of the heavens. Its food is mainly the power of the heavens. If you can nourish it with the power of the heavens, it will definitely not leave you again. Cat Lord said lightly. Nourish the heaven-swallowing beast with the power of the heavens? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard that. He could not help but say speechlessly, if I really come to the Tianzhou in the future and this little beast sees many people with the power of the heavens, won't it follow everyone it sees? If that was the case, Wang Kai would rather not have it. The heaven-swallowing beast that he had painstakingly raised, if he went to the Tianzhou, wouldn't it be a wedding dress for someone else? Whoosh! Suddenly, the heaven-swallowing beast moved and immediately turned into a ray of white light. In the blink of an eye, it appeared above Wang Kai's head. Under Wang Kai's astonished gaze, the heaven-devouring beast suddenly opened its mouth. Its mouth, which was originally the size of a willow leaf, suddenly grew to a size that could swallow a mountain. Chapter 589. I was still debating whether or not to take you in. You've already taken the initiative to speak. You're quite bold. Wang Kai grinned and shook his head in a rather speechless manner. Then, he casually raised his hand and slapped upwards. Slap! Swoosh! In an instant, the small white beast was sent flying into the sky by Wang Kai's slap. Its speed was comparable to a shooting star. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from sight. TSK, this reincarnation realm is not bad. Even the sky is so high. However, compared with me, it's still too far away. How can a mere reincarnation realm be compared with the real world? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and sighed with emotion. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. In other words, the sky and the land were all developed by him? Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord was speechless. However, he had already gotten used to Wang Kai's bragging. Even if he didn't want to listen, he had to. The more he resisted, the more it would make people vomit blood. Tame it. In Tianzhou, it will be of great help to you. With your abilities, if you want to keep it, won't it be an easy task? The cat stroked his long whiskers and flattered Ling Xian in a disgusted manner. Patter! Upon hearing these words, Wang Kai's eyebrows immediately twitched. With a flip of his hand, he opened his folding fan and smiled approvingly. Your words have left this sect master unable to refute. You have not followed me for so long in vain. You have finally seen the might of this sect master. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Damn! Cat Master, who had always been civilized, couldn't help but curse when he heard Wang Kai's words. Wang Kai's shamelessness was a huge blow to him. When others flattered him, the person involved would choose to accept it humbly. Wang Kai was different. Not only was he not humble, he was also very arrogant. He accepted it even more aggressively. Indeed, people were different from each other. Plop! The small white beast fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, creating a deep crater. Don't tell me he's smashed into pieces? Seeing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and twitched the corner of his mouth. He stood up speechlessly and was about to walk towards the deep pit. Whoosh! However, before Wang Kai could reach the place, the little white beast came out of the deep pit on its own and landed on the edge. It shook its fur and stared at Wang Kai with its large eyes filled with fear. Yeah. As Wang Kai approached step by step, the little beast immediately cried out in fright. Its voice was tender and clear. It shook its long snow-white tail and retreated. In the end, it almost fell into the deep pit. Little fellow, why don't you follow me in the future? With this sect master here, anything you want to eat will be at your fingertip. Even if it's the sky, as long as this sect master is happy, this sect master can casually help you get it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Swoosh! As soon as he said this, the little white beast obviously understood. It blinked its eyes as if it was thinking. After a long while, it raised its tail, pointed at Wang Kai and nodded. Yeah. Seeing this, Wang Kai raised his brow slightly and couldn't help but nod with a smile. You want the power of the heavens, right? The power of the heavens. The little white beast blinked its eyes in confusion. It still wagged its tail and pointed at Wang Kai. Ya. Boy, it seems that you still don't know how to use the power of the heavens. Hold your breath and concentrate. Reach the celestial realm and enter the state of emptiness. In the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and taught Wang Kai how to use the power of the heavens. Then, according to Lord Cat's instructions, rays of silver light appeared around Wang Kai's body. The light was very weak, but the power it contained was terrifyingly strong. Ya. Suddenly, the little white beast went crazy. It jumped up and down and stared at Wang Kai with its big eyes. Its eyes were full of eagerness and desire. Whoosh! As the silver light dissipated, Wang Kai's pupils turned into the shape of a crescent moon. On the left, there was a crescent moon pupil, and on the right, there was a round sun pupil. If one looked carefully, one could clearly see mountains, rivers, and other things between heaven and earth shining in them. The power of the heavens, the power of all things between heaven and earth, with the celestial eye as the medium and the body as the medium. This is the state of emptiness. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled faintly. Crack, crack. Wang Kai suddenly felt the power in his body surge. When he clenched his fists, crackling sounds could be heard. At this moment, it was as if a punch could break the heavens. This kind of power was something that had never been seen before. It surpassed the power of the celestial soldier realm, and went up a level. Wang Kai now had an illusion. Originally, he could rely on the cultivation of the celestial soldier realm to destroy the 8 desolations with a punch. Now, he could use a finger. The celestial soldier realm is the first level of the power of the heavens. I am now at the 7th level of the celestial soldier realm. Now that I have used the power of the heavens, I should be at the 8th level of the celestial soldier realm. I didn't expect the difference of one level to be so great. Wang Kai couldn't help but shake his head and exclaim. It was no wonder that in Tianzhou, any magic or martial arts that were above one's level would be ineffective. With such a great difference in power, it was impossible to make up for it with just the 12 turns of the silver moon and the 8 gate. Ya. The little white beast had already sunk into a state of insanity. Its originally clear eyes were now completely red. Moreover, it kept opening its mouth and grinding its teeth. It looked as if it would rush up and swallow Wang Kai in the next moment. How am I going to use the power of the heavens to nourish it? Do you really want to let it eat this sect master? Wang Kai was speechless when he saw this and twitched his mouth. Swoosh. However, before Lord Cat could reply, the little white beast was no longer able to control itself. It floated into the air and landed on Wang Kai's shoulder. Wang Kai subconsciously wanted to slap it away. However, he saw it lying on his shoulder with its eyes closed and a look of enjoyment on its face. As for his own power, the power of the heavens, it was rapidly depleting. If you don't use the power of the heavens, it will eagerly want to swallow you. Now that you have used the power of the heavens, it only needs to get close to you to swallow the power of the heavens. Now, not only is it close to you, but it is also touching your body. The speed of its swallowing is naturally doubled. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled. Hearing this, Wang Kai came to a sudden realization. He could feel the power of the heavens disappearing. In just a few breaths, he had reached the point where he was like an oil lamp that had run out of oil. His body had also left the ethereal state and returned to his original cultivation. Ya. The little white beast seemed to be very satisfied. It blinked its eyes and glanced at Wang Kai a few times. Then, it closed its eyes and lay on Wang Kai's shoulder, motionless. Chapter 590. This heaven-devouring beast is still in its infancy stage. To be able to have such a devouring speed is already beyond common sense. To be able to give birth to a heaven-devouring beast in a mere reincarnation realm, it truly surprises Lord Cat. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Lord Cat laughed emotionally. Now, it was proven that the world was so big that there were all sorts of strange things. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders when he heard this. In his heart, regardless of whether it was a cub or any other beast, in order to ensure that he would not raise it for nothing, it was better to form a contract with it. Thinking of this, Wang Kai activated his mind in a second, and said, "Form a contract with this heaven-devouring beast." 1. Suddenly, lines of blood-red runes appeared beneath Wang Kai's feet. When they formed a circle, a line of blood gathered and connected to the little white beast. Swoosh! The little white critter, who was originally enjoying the sensation, suddenly opened its eyes. It looked at the blood veins surrounding its body, and immediately blinked its eyes in confusion. It looked at Wang Kai in a daze. Congratulations to the host for successfully forming a bloodline contract with the heaven-devouring beast. 1,000 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai. Profession, Martial Artist. Realm, Grade 7 Heavenly Soldier. Dao Technique, The Way of Bragging. Divine Ability, Luck Deprivation Technique, Great Summoning Technique, 12 Revolutions of the Silver Moon. Equipment, Tong Tian Tower, Fan of Myriad Transformations. Power of Heaven, Level 1 Star Source Points, 0 Physique, Invulnerable Protector Beast, None Bragging Points, 14300. Experience, 300005000001000 Bragging Points. Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. He really did not expect that forming a contract with a little beast, whose cultivation was only at the peak of the heavenly sovereign realm, would actually consume 1,000 points. This was still a cub. When it reached adulthood, how much would it cost? Yaya. Good brother, what did you do to me? Suddenly, as the little white beast bared its teeth and cried out, a clear and tender voice rang out in Wang Kai's mind. From the sound of it, it should be a female. Nice guy. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that he would become a good person after giving it some heavenly energy. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but nod and smile. It's nothing. I just made a bloodline contract with you. We can talk to each other, that's all. There's another use. You can't leave my side anymore. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Whoosh! Hearing this, the little white beast's eyes widened. It said in surprise, "Nice guy, big brother, you can actually understand what I'm saying." Seeing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but grin. He thought that the little white beast would be angry, but who would have thought that it was only surprised that he could understand what it was saying. So much so that Wang Kai regretted forming a bloodline contract with it. Such a pure heaven-swallowing beast, Wang Kai was truly going against his will. Good brother, as long as I don't leave you, my life won't be in danger, right? Then do I have something to eat? The little white beast blinked its eyes and asked in a childish voice. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, the heaven-swallowing beast wasn't unhappy. Otherwise, he wouldn't know what to do. Of course. This sect master will get you anything delicious. Whatever you want, this sect master will give it to you. Haha, this sect master isn't boasting, but this world belongs to this sect master. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled with a rather prideful expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Yaya. Nice guy, big brother, I want the heavenly energy that you mentioned. Give me the one that I just ate, I'm hungry. The little white beast jumped up and down happily. Its childish voice and innocent look made Wang Kai unable to reject it. Thinking of this, Wang Kai entered the ethereal realm again and let the heavenly energy revolve around his body. Boy, you can use the heavenly energy? How is this possible? What kind of weirdo are you? Are you not human? Inside the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat screamed in horror. Even Lord Cat couldn't remain calm at this moment. Not human, crack. Wang Kai gritted his teeth when he heard this. His forehead was full of black lines as he flipped his hand and grabbed the Tower of Babel. He said fiercely, "Big stupid cat, if you dare to act tough again, don't blame me for not caring about our old friendship and turning you into a bald cat. Boy, how did you do it? The heavenly energy can only be used once a day. No matter how strong or weak it can only last for 2 hours. Only a non-human race can use it more than once, but it can only last for 1 hour. Are you really not human?" Lord Cat didn't care about Wang Kai's threat. At this moment, he was in a state of shock. After accompanying Wang Kai for so long, he always thought that he was human. But now, was this something that a human could do? Wang Kai, on the other hand, frowned when he heard this. Humans could only use the heavenly energy once a day for 2 hours. After using it, they couldn't use it again for a day. As for non-human races, they could use it twice a day. The first time, it could last for the same amount of time as humans. The second time, it could only last for 1 hour. But now, this was the second time he used it, and it was in the same day, consecutively. Could it be because of the system? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. In his heart, he secretly pushed all the blame for this strange occurrence to the system. In fact, only the system could give him such an awesome boost. Haha, this sect master is naturally a human being. I can use it twice because the power of the heavens was created by this sect master. Well, not to mention twice, I can use it 1,000 times or even 10,000 times. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with a rather indifferent expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th level of the Heavenly Soldier realm. Host, you can rely on your invulnerable body to use the power of the heavens an unlimited number of times. However, after using it 3 times, you will fall into an hour of fatigue. After the fatigue period, you can use it 3 more times. Whoosh! Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's expression froze. Fatigue period. Every time he used heavenly energy 3 times, he would enter a fatigue period for an hour. After an hour of fatigue, he would be able to use heavenly energy 3 more times. In that case, it could indeed be used limitlessly. I'm hungry, I still want to eat. Whoosh! The little white beast bared its teeth and cried out happily again. Its happy look made the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitch violently. If it was before, he might have used the heavenly energy on it directly. But now, if he used it again, he would enter a fatigue period of 1 hour. If he happened to meet someone again, wouldn't he be crushed to death? Eat what? From now on, you can only eat it once a day. If you cry out again, I'll make sure you can't eat the heavenly energy for the rest of your life. Wang Kai pretended to be fierce and threatened. Whoosh! Hearing this, the little white beast trembled in fear. Can't eat the heavenly energy for the rest of my life. Good brother, I'll eat it once a day. Don't be so fierce to me. Chapter 591. Bullsh *T. What I, your Uncle Lu, have is money, concubines, and brothers. Take the famous Wang Kai as an example. He's a brother that I've played with since I was a child. Shut up. Even if Wang Kai is your brother, he is only a heavenly venerable in the reincarnation realm. Once the time limit of the reincarnation realm is over, we will have stepped into the honorable realm. Wouldn't it be easy to kill him? You are not good at acting tough. As the successors of the honorable realm, we were the first to enter the reincarnation realm. It has been 20 years since then, and 20 days have passed in the outside world. In these 20 days, Wang Kai has reached a terrifying level. Between a mountain that had been split in half, there were 7 or 8 young powerhouses. Their auras were at the peak of the earthly venerable realm, and the leader was a heavenly venerable. Opposite the 7 or 8 young experts stood a fat, bald monk in a golden Buddhist robe. His fat head and big ears looked like he weighed at least 500 pounds. This Buddhist cultivator was Lu Lo. After breaking into the 8 Desolates, training hard in the Golden Cicada Buddhist temple, and with the help of the strange fire, the reincarnation fire, he had reached the earthly venerable realm. However, he had just stepped into the earthly venerable realm, and he still had to rely on the 20 years of hard training in the reincarnation realm. Facing the Emergence Tao Gates disciples, who were at the peak of the earthly venerable realm and at the peak of the heavenly venerable realm, Lu Lu was naturally no match for them. There is no need to talk nonsense. Quickly hand over the Sanqing Yuan illuminating lamp. This honorable weapon belongs to the Emergence Tao Gate, and it has nothing to do with the Buddhist gate. The man in the lead was called Yi Di, and he was a heavenly venerable realm powerhouse. He had found the Emergence Tao Gate's lost treasure on this mountain, but before he could take it, the Golden Cicada Buddhist Temple's disciples had gotten it first. What made the Emergence Tao Gate's disciples even more speechless was the strange fire, the reincarnation fire. If it was outside, it would be fine. However, in the reincarnation realm, the power of the reincarnation fire had risen by several levels. Even an earthly venerable could fight with them until now. Hee, you killed more than 10 disciples of my Golden Cicada Buddhist temple, and now you still want to obtain the 3 clear origin illuminating lamps? Could it be that you're still in the sweet dream of being in love with your mother? Fatso Lu raised his hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His gaze was filled with coldness as he spoke with a smile. Even if he could rely on the reincarnation fire to fight them until now without dying, there was a limit to his strength. The reincarnation fire could not be used indefinitely. If they continued to fight, Fatso Lu admitted that he would not be able to survive in less than an hour. Haha, I am the 3rd direct disciple of the Ascension Tao Gate, Yi Di. The Yi clan is one of the top aristocratic clans in the southern wasteland. If you are willing to hand over the 3 clear origin illuminating lamp, I can betroth my sister to you and create a beautiful story. How about it? Yidi's eyes flickered slightly as he spoke with a sincere smile. Southern Wasteland Yi clan. Apart from the Ascension Tao sect in the southern wasteland, the Yi family could indeed be considered an overlord family. Ha ha ha, little brother Yi, could it be that you want to use your sister to exchange for a few drops of your Uncle Lu's liquid? TSK, alright. Since you are so shameless, then Uncle Lu will agree to this matter. However, the 3 clear origin illuminating lamp will be your Yi clan's dowry. Fatso Lu's expression was filled with disdain as he sneered coldly. After coming to the 8 wastelands, he naturally knew that the reincarnation fire could be turned into a bloodline that could be passed down. Yidi's intentions when he made such a request were naturally obvious. Since you don't want face, then I can only capture you. Attack. Swoosh. Yidi snorted coldly as he slapped out with a flip of his hand. The pressure of the heavenly venerate realm was like a tornado that directly suppressed Lu Lu. At the same time, the other disciples of the Ascension Tao Gate also attacked Lu Lu from the left and right. Hee, with your mediocre skills, it is insufficient to pose a threat to Uncle Lu. Reincarnation fire. Fatso Lu sneered in disdain when he saw this. With a loud shout, green flames immediately burned around his body. Bang! Puff! Puff puff puff! In an instant, the pressure of Yidi's palm directly entered the reincarnation fire. It only brought about waves of sparks and did not cause any harm to Fatso Lu. On the other hand, the few Ascension Tao sect disciples who were at the earthly venerate realm were able to hit Fatso Lu accurately with their palms. Crack! Crack! Fatso Lu's entire body seemed to have been struck by lightning as his bones and tendons exploded. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He forcefully endured his injuries as he raised his palm and slapped those disciples until they vomited blood and flew back. Cough cough, Fatso Lu's face instantly turned pale. After fighting for a long time until now, he had already reached his limit by relying on the reincarnation fire to block Ed, who was at the heavenly venerate realm. It was impossible for him to effectively block it a second time. Now, relying on the reincarnation fire to heal the injuries in his body was extremely slow. If there was another attack, Fatso Lu admitted that he would not be able to withstand it. Fatso Ball Donkey, you said that you and Wang Kai are brothers? You played together since young. Can you believe this? Sect Master is so powerful, and he is so weak and fat. No matter if it's true or not, let's save him first. I just happen to want to fight and stretch my body. Suddenly, a few voices rang out, causing Fatso Lu and the others to be stunned as they turned around to look. In the distance, the green and red ghosts and Yang Wei were striding over with the smell of blood all over their bodies. They did not hide their auras at all. The green and red ghosts were at the peak of the earthly venerate realm. Yang Wei had successfully broken through to the heavenly venerate realm. At the same time, above a lake 30 million miles away, Wang Kai was frowning as he stared impatiently at a lady in a purple dress in front of him. This lady had a peerless appearance and an exquisite figure. There was a purple flower petal between her eyebrows that was surrounded by a light veil. Her beautiful eyes were smiling as she stared at Wang Kai. Li Lingxian, can you stop following this sect master? I still have important things to do. Wang Kai frowned as he spoke with a face full of disdain. Ya. The little white beast on Wang Kai's shoulder also pretended to be fierce as it bared its teeth and shouted at Li Lingxian. Ha, Wang Kai, we haven't seen each other for so many years. Are you so heartless? Li Lingxian's beautiful eyes were filled with extraordinary splendor as she pretended to laugh sadly. Hearing this, Wang Kai's mouth twitched violently. He really could not do anything about this lady. After subduing the little white beast, he rushed towards the reincarnation blood pool with all his might. However, even though his spirit could detect the location of the reincarnation blood pool, it was as far as the distance between heaven and earth to reach it. Now, he had been running for more than 10 days, but he still had not reached the reincarnation blood pool. However, he met Li Lingxian halfway. Meeting her was not a big deal at first. Wang Kai originally wanted to take Li Lingxian down, but before he could do anything, he was shocked by her sudden request. Li Lingxian, if you want the dustless fire bloodline, I can reluctantly have a night with you. But you actually want me to take all the hundreds of female disciples of the exquisite refinement sect into my room. Do you think my milk is cabbage? That I have to give it to anyone who wants it? Wang Kai snorted coldly with a dark face and forehead full of black lines. Chapter 592. Ha, Wang Kai, didn't you always accept anyone who came to you? Why are you so terrified now? Look, the female disciples of the exquisite refinement sect who have entered the reincarnation realm this time are all extremely talented. Their appearances can also be considered peerless. Li Lingxian covered her face and laughed coquettishly. Her beautiful eyes gazed at Wang Kai mockingly. Her heart was already filled with joy. In her opinion, being able to prank Wang Kai like this was also very interesting. However, when Wang Kai heard these words, he turned to look at the female disciples of the exquisite refinement sect seriously. At the edge of the lake stood more than 300 beautiful women. They were all dressed in white and held light swords in their hands. At first glance, they were indeed a little dazzling. There were all kinds of them. This one is not bad. TSK, that one is not bad either. This one is too small. That one is not good either. Her butt is not perky enough. Wang Kai frowned and rubbed his chin with one hand. He looked at the women with a scrutinizing gaze. He completely did not notice Li Lingxian, whose beautiful face had already stiffened. 4 of them then. Their beauty and perkiness are all qualified to inherit and accept my milk. Cough cough, you also have the dustless bloodline. 5 of you. Let's find a place to start. Wang Kai, you're shameless. Before Wang Kai could finish speaking, Li Lingxian could no longer hold back and immediately rebuked him in a coquettish voice. What the f***ck? Just now, you were still chasing after me and shouting for me to accept them. Now that I've agreed, you're not going to accept it? Do you know that just a drop of my milk is enough to make everyone go crazy for it? Wang Kai immediately raised his eyebrows and said with a rather proud expression, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. You! Li Lingxian was momentarily speechless. She had only said those words to tease Wang Kai. How could she possibly let him accept hundreds of female disciples of the exquisite refinement sect? At first, Wang Kai's disdainful attitude had made Li Lingxian extremely happy. She secretly thought that Wang Kai had finally changed and was no longer as lecherous as before. But now, he had actually agreed. Furthermore, he was seriously choosing the women he liked. He even wanted the 5 women, including herself, to serve him together. Simply shameless to the extreme. What about me? You were the one who sent them to me. I said I didn't want them, but you insisted on forcing me to. Now that I'm in the mood and want them, you're throwing a tantrum. I wonder who is the shameless one between the 2 of us. Wang Kai shrugged and snorted with disdain. Whoosh. Once these words were spoken, Li Lingxian became extremely angry. She clenched her teeth and glared at Wang Kai with hatred. After a long while, she finally took a deep breath and said with a faint smile, All right, since you want them, no problem. Take them all. Otherwise, you can only choose one. Accept all of them? Otherwise, I can only choose one? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. He finally understood this little girl's plan. Immediately, his heart was filled with vanity. He smiled calmly and said, I know that you like me very much and want me to choose you. However, who would give up an entire forest for a tree? Ding dang. Whoosh. Go to hell. Shameless person. Suddenly, in her fury, Li Lingxian swung her long sword and slashed out a green sword ray in the air. Heavenly venerate stage? Sensing Li Lingxian's oppressive aura, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He had not expected her to reach such a high level. Patter. You still have a long way to go. Wang Kai shrugged. He flipped his hand and took out his folding fan. He waved it forward and shattered the sword ray, scattering it in all directions. Are you bullying me because I'm weak? Li Lingxian's eyes turned red. Her face was full of grievance as she angrily rebuked him. In the end, she was so angry that she threw her long sword into the lake. I'm bullying you? You attacked me as soon as you arrived. You can't beat me, so I'm bullying you? You came to the 8 desolations and went to the so-called exquisite refinement sect. What exactly did you learn? Wang Kai coldly snorted with black lines on his forehead. He was speechless because of her. You're bullying me because I'm weak. Li Lingxian pouted and snorted. Whoosh. As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Kai's figure flashed and appeared behind Li Lingxian. He raised his hand and slapped her hard on the buttock. Slap. Slap slap. Slap slap slap. In an instant 3 crisp sounds rang out. Li Lingxian had already been slapped until her entire body quivered. She felt powerless and trembled slightly. It was as if she would lose her ability to step in the air and fall into the lake in the next moment. I'm bullying you. What are you going to do about it? Humph. Whoosh. Wang Kai casually shrugged his shoulders. While Li Lingxian was in a daze, he turned around and stepped into the air. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the horizon. Only the dumbfounded Li Lingxian and the numerous dumbfounded female disciples of the exquisite refinement sect were left behind. Bastard! Wang Kai, I won't forgive you! Chase after him! Whoosh! Li Lingxian regained her senses. She clenched her silver teeth and cursed angrily. She twisted her delicate body and chased after him. Wait, goddess, where are we going? Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The numerous exquisite refinement sect disciples hurriedly stepped into the air and followed. However, they were not as fast as Li Lingxian and could only anxiously shout from behind. The reincarnation blood pool. As Li Lingxian's voice slowly rang out, the numerous female disciples looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Entering the reincarnation realm this time, they were indeed going to the reincarnation blood pool. However, how could it be so easy to find it? Yaya, yaya, kind brother, why are you running away? Can't you beat her? In the void, Wang Kai was walking quickly. When he heard the words of the little white beast on his shoulder, the corner of his mouth could not help but twitch. He smiled faintly and said, "My strength can't be described with words. I stayed away from her only because she likes me too much. And I don't want to take advantage of people when they are in danger. I won't bully a girl." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Yaya. But, big brother, you clearly hit her earlier. Could that not be considered bullying? The little white beast blinked its eyes and asked doubtfully. Of course not. I was just beating her up. A gentle beating. It was not bullying, it was love. There are not many good men in the world like this sect master who cares for the fairer sect. Alas. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and said with an indifferent smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Yaya. Oh then, kind brother, you should love me too. I just want to eat. I'm hungry. Whoosh. When the little white beast said this, black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead. He could not wait to throw it away. Chapter 593. Stop. Put down the little beast on your shoulder. Swoosh. Wang Kai, who was walking in the air, suddenly heard a stern reprimand. His body couldn't help but pause for a moment. He raised his eyebrows and looked down with a strange gaze. There were more than a dozen young men and women on a wasteland. They were dressed differently, but they were all handsome and beautiful. This left Wang Kai somewhat speechless. None of the true inheritors of the major factions who had reached the level of true inheritor were ordinary. Are you talking to me? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and floated down to the ground. He looked at them playfully. His original intention was not to do anything in the reincarnation realm, but sometimes, trouble would take the initiative to find him. Wang Kai was helpless about this. That's right. Which force are you from? You are so young, but you call yourself my sect master. How dare you? A young man sneered disdainfully. Oh, Brother Chun, why are you talking nonsense with him? Quickly take the little beast from his shoulder. I like it so much. Beside the young man was a woman in a light green dress. She was shaking the young man's arm as she called out to him in an extremely intimate manner. Senior Brother Lu Chun, let's listen to which force he is from, a man in a white robe said with a frown. When the other disciples heard this, they furrowed their eyebrows and looked at Wang Kai. This made Wang Kai quite curious. He opened his fan with a click and said with a faint smile, My background is too great. I'm afraid that if I tell you about it, you'll be scared ***less. I vaguely remember that tens of thousands of years ago, I merely told you about my background and caused the sky to collapse. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Could even cause the sky to collapse? Just by telling you about your background? Such words made everyone despise him. They could not help but look at each other. The contempt in their eyes became more obvious. Humph, the sky is still above our heads now. Little brother, don't brag. Quickly tell us where you came from. Maybe, on account of your power, I will spare your life. Lu Chen sneered. Swoosh. Wang Kai flipped his hand and closed the folding fan. He slowly raised it and pointed at the sky. He smiled faintly and said, "The current sky was just stitched up by this sect master. As for this sect master's origin, it's better if you don't know. It will really scare you to death." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade Heavenly Soldier realm. I can't believe he can answer like that. Everyone was speechless for a moment. Even Lu Chen and the beautiful woman were stunned at this moment. They could not believe that there was such a weirdo in the world. First, he said he could destroy the sky, and then he said he was the one who stitched up the sky. Could the sky? What a bastard! Since you don't want to say it, then so be it. Leave the little white beast behind and you can scram. Lu Chen waved his hand impatiently. Aya, why are you talking nonsense with him? I'll go get it. Swoosh. Suddenly, the beautiful woman swayed her body and walked in front of Wang Kai. She put her hands on her waist and said in a sweet voice, "Little brother, give that little white beast to, slap, bang." Wah, however, before the woman could finish speaking, she was suddenly slapped by Wang Kai. Her face was smashed into the ground, creating a hole. Everyone says that women are femme fatale. I have never believed it. Now I have seen it for myself. The few of you will all be beaten up today. Wang Kai shrugged and said with an indifferent smile. Swoosh. Such a scene caused Lu Chen and the others to be shocked. They did not expect Wang Kai to suddenly attack and be so merciless. Looking at the beautiful woman who had fainted after being slapped, as well as her face that was covered in blood and flesh, the few of them felt a chill run down their spines. Peak Heavenly Sovereign. In just an instant, Lu Chen and the others discovered Wang Kai's aura. For a moment they were all shocked and secretly regretted it. Other than the strongest, Lu Chen, who had just stepped into the Heavenly Sovereign realm, the rest were only earthly sovereigns. How could they be a match for Wang Kai? Senior brother, I am Lu Chen, a true disciple of the Ascension Tao Gate. I hope you can forgive me for offending you earlier. Although Lu Chen's expression was ugly, he still braced himself and cupped his fists to apologize. In the blink of an eye, the others also cupped their fists and greeted him. Senior brother, I am Chiu Bailing, a disciple of the Medicine God Mountain. I did not participate in the matter just now, nor did I want to participate, the white-robed young man said with a pleasant expression. Senior brother, I am from the Qinglong Hall. All right, no need to talk nonsense. None of you can escape today. Stretch out your necks and let this sect master chop them off one by one. F***CKU. You guys are so awesome. You even dare to rob this sect master. Swoosh. As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai's figure disappeared under the horrified gazes of Lu Chen and the others. When he reappeared, he was right in front of them. Dragon subduing 10 palms. Buzz. Swoosh swoosh, bang 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 bang. In an instant, Wang Kai flipped his hand and slapped Lu Chen and the others, causing them to spit out blood and fly in all directions. Not a single one of them was spared. Their faces were shattered, and their teeth were flying everywhere. Their bloody appearance was simply too horrible to look at. Remember next time. Don't want whatever you see and don't try to stop anyone. Before you do these things, you have to look at who the other party is. A bunch of trash who have never seen the world. Damn it! Wasting this sect master's time. Wang Kai snorted coldly with a disdainful expression. At the end of his words, His figure flickered as he gave each of them a kick, sending them flying several thousand meters away before he was done. Swish! As Wang Kai's figure stepped into the air, Lu Chen and the others were already lying on the ground, all unconscious. Who is that person? He is so strong. Suddenly 2 figures appeared. Looking in the direction Wang Kai went, they couldn't help but look at each other, feeling a little shocked. Not only is he strong, but he is also lawless. Medicine God Mountain, Emergence Tao Gate, and Qinglong Hall, the 3 supreme forces did not give face at all. These 2 figures, a man and a woman, wore fiery red dresses. Their auras were at the heavenly sovereign realm. However, even though their cultivation was at the heavenly sovereign realm, they were still extremely fearful of Wang Kai. Let's not worry about it for now. As disciples of the Emergence Tao Gate, let's not provoke him before we reach the reincarnation blood pool. Let's go find Goddess Yun Fei Qing first. Only her heartless Tao cultivation can fight with this person. The young man frowned and said. The woman nodded in agreement when she heard this. She glanced at Lu Chen, who was also a disciple of the Emergence Tao Gate, and immediately swung her sword down coldly. Puff! As Lu Chen's head flew into the air, the figures of the young man and woman also disappeared, leaving behind only a cold reprimand. Those who disgrace the Tao Gate cannot be left alive. Chapter 594. Then what are we waiting for? Kill them! Puff, puff, puff. Hearing this, Fatso Lu's face suddenly turned fierce. He waved his hand and shot out the reincarnation hellfire, aimlessly throwing it at the surrounding crowd. This is a strange fire, a green flame, it's the reincarnation hellfire. It's a strange flame that can help its wielder recover instantly and dissipate those who are hit by it. Quickly rise to the sky to avoid it. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, everyone was so scared that their faces turned pale. They stepped into the sky as if they were trying to avoid a demon. However, there were still some powerhouses who could not avoid it in time and were directly burned into nothingness by the reincarnation hellfire. There was not the slightest trace left. It was as if those people had never appeared here at all. Oh no! Someone wants to take the opportunity to snatch the fruit of earth. Bastard! Who is it? Kill! Many powerhouses' pupils immediately shrank when they heard the words, and they looked down at the dry spirit tree. When they found that there were indeed 2 more figures under the tree, they were so angry that their faces were livid. They rushed down like crazy. Canren, go to Fatso Lu and help them. On the other side of the void, Ling Feng frowned and said coldly. He then took out his long sword and stepped into the air to land under the dry spirit tree. On the way, he slashed out a few times and killed dozens of earthly venerable realm powerhouses. Ling Feng is a friend of Wang Kai. Ling Feng swung his long sword and said coldly. Yang Wei and Green Ghost looked at each other. No matter whether what the newcomer said was true or false, it was not too much to agree with him since he was willing to stand out under the siege of so many powerhouses. Thinking of this, Yang Wei clenched his fist and said in a deep voice, Yang Wei, Hall Master of the Mighty Hall of the Discord Sect. Green Ghost, Hall Master of the Ghost Hall of the Discord Sect, Green Ghost said coldly. Upon hearing these words, even Ling Feng, who usually had an ice-cold expression, could not help but gently twitch the corners of his mouth. Every time he heard the words offend the Heaven Sect, he would be reminded of Wang Kai's shameless and despicable deeds. Fatty, Master Canren is here to help you. Swoosh. On the other side, Cruel Blade rubbed his bald head and held a black broken saber in his hand. He licked his lips and appeared beside Fatso Lu with a ferocious expression. Bald donkey! It's you! Ha ha ha! Fatty Lu was startled when he saw this. Soon after, he began to laugh out loud. At the same time, in the sky above the desolate valley thousands of miles away, Wang Kai was frowning as he looked down in surprise. If one did not look down from the sky, it would be difficult to discover that the entire area of the desolate valley was formed into the body of a giant dragon. Furthermore, there was a cross at the location of the dragon's heart. It was as if it was telling people that this place was very important. Interesting. Could there be some kind of treasure inside? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but become interested. He immediately floated down and landed on the cross where the heart was. What came into view was a ring-shaped pile of rubble. In the center, a long cross was deliberately drawn. Looking from above, it was exactly the heart of the dragon. Bang! Bang bang! Seeing this, Wang Kai lifted his foot and stomped a few times. Immediately, the rubble flew up and the ground cracked. However, other than that, there was no other abnormality. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded out, causing Wang Kai's eyebrows to twitch. He turned around and saw a doddering old man slowly walking towards him with a walking stick. This old man had no cultivation. His eyes were turbid and his face was old. He was not a person who had cultivated martial arts. In that case, it was impossible for him to have just entered the reincarnation realm. Thinking of this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled in surprise. "Senior, where is this place? Is there a treasure hidden here?" Whoosh! As soon as this was said, the old man sneered. He pointed at the center of the rubble with his walking stick, and said in a hoarse voice, "This valley is called the Valley of the Extinct Dragon. The place where you are standing is the heart of a fallen supreme realm divine dragon. As for the treasure, if you have the ability, you can break open the dragon's heart and go down to look for it." The Valley of the Extinct Dragon, the place where a supreme realm divine dragon fell. Wang Kai's eyes suddenly shrank. Wasn't it said that there could only be 10 supreme realm divine warriors in the 8 wastelands? Since that was the case, where did this supreme being divine dragon come from? Could it be that the supreme realm divine warriors who died in the past were not all buried in the reincarnation blood pool? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and muttered in surprise. However, these words were heard by the old man. He immediately nodded and said without hiding anything, "Young man, you are right. The reincarnation blood pool is only the center of the reincarnation realm. The entire reincarnation realm is the place where the supreme realm divine warriors of the past generations fell. For example, the Phoenix Fallen platform in Fengming Mountain, the Blue Ice Cave in the Red Dust Path, the 100 Grass Ferry in the Divine Medical Ridge, and so on. There are a total of 97 places where supreme realm divine warriors fell in the reincarnation realm. 97. It was actually 97. Not 89. Until now, among the Supreme Realm Divine Warriors of the 10 Supreme Realm Divine Warriors, there should be a total of 89 Supreme Realm Divine Warriors who fell and committed suicide. To be exact, it should be 90. The Supreme Realm Divine Warrior, replaced by the Kylan, committed suicide here. But now it was 97? Could it be that there were more than 10 Supreme Realm Divine Warriors in a generation? Wang Kai suddenly felt puzzled. He could not help but carefully look at the old man in front of him. He did not seem to have practiced martial arts at all. His movements were very slow, as if he would die at any time. Yet, he knew so much and was so clear about it. "Old senior, may I know who the other 7 are?" Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked puzzledly. "The current Supreme Azure Dragon, Supreme White Tiger, Supreme Vermilion Bird, Supreme Black Tortoise, Golden Cicada Buddha, Drug God, and Supreme Linglong." The old man leaned on his walking stick and said with a trembling voice, "Whoosh." Hearing this, Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. The current 7 Supreme Realm Divine Warriors. Then, according to you, only the Supreme Heartless, the Sky Emperor, and the Supreme Realm Divine Warrior of the Soul Break Valley are still alive? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a surprised expression. "Cough cough, no, the Supreme Realm Divine Warrior will not die. In the past, the one who died in place of the Supreme Realm Divine Warrior was this old man, the old man said while stroking his beard. Whoosh! Hearing this, Wang Kai's pupils shrank. He could not help but move to the side of the old man. He directly reached out and pressed his hand on the old man's shoulder. Even after probing, he still could not discover any cultivation. Old Senior, you said that you are the one who died in place of the Supreme Realm Divine Warrior. Does that mean that you are the Kylan from back then? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a mocking smile. It was strange to begin with. The Supreme Realm Divine Warrior was able to let the Kylan die in place of him in the first generation. But after that, who could he find? He could not think of anyone other than the Kylan who could be comparable to a divine warrior. But now, he suddenly heard this old man say that he had died in place of the Supreme Realm Divine Warrior. While Wang Kai was shocked, he also felt disbelief. Chapter 595. Haha, young man, Honorable Qilin's token is in your hands. Why do you have to test me? The old man tapped the ground gently with his walking stick. Whoosh! Upon hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Yes, one of the 5 Emperor tokens, the Qilin token, was in his hands. Moreover, after sensing it, he found that the token had nothing to do with the old man. What he said just now was just a test. Since you are not Honorable Qilin, who are you? Haha, if not for the fact that you look different from Honorable Heavenly Ghost, I would have thought that you were him. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled nonchalantly. I am Honorable Heavenly Ghost. Bang! Upon hearing this, Wang Kai threw a punch without hesitation. However, it was blocked by a barrier that appeared in front of the old man with a dull thud. The barrier was sky blue in color and seemed slightly transparent. However, there were no cracks or signs of it being shaken by the punch. Young man, don't be impatient. I am indeed Honorable Heavenly Ghost, but I am not the Honorable Heavenly Ghost who oversees the Soul Break Valley. We have 2 hearts, 2 souls, and 2 bodies. The old man laughed slowly with a hoarse voice. 2 hearts, 2 souls, and 2 bodies? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. Could it be that there really were yin-yang people in this world? What do you mean? Thud. Thud. The old man did not respond. Instead, he raised his walking stick and knocked on the barrier unsteadily. After the barrier disappeared, he said, Dead people and ghost cultivators are not recognized by the heavens and earth. They cannot walk in the mortal world. They need to reach the honorable realm before they can walk in the mortal world. However, if they want to go to Tianzhou, even the 8 Desolation honorable realm cannot pass through the gate of reincarnation. Upon hearing this, Wang Kai nodded gently. There were many ghost cultivators in the Soul Break Valley who could not see the sun. Only those who reached the honorable realm could leave the Soul Break Valley. However, Honorable Heavenly Ghost was a honorable realm expert, so he naturally did not care about this. In that case, the reason why Supreme Heavenly Ghost was split into 2 was because of the drawbacks of wanting to go to Tianzhou. Even if a ghost cultivator reaches the level of 8 Desolation Supremes, they can't pass through the so-called gate of reincarnation and head to Tianzhou. What does that mean? Is there a door to Tianzhou in Bahuang? Wang Kai asked with squinted eyes. The old man nodded in agreement. He walked to the pile of rocks near the dragon's heart, tapped the ground and said, Just like this azure dragon, it would rather die here. Isn't it all for the sake of going to Tianzhou? Who would commit suicide for the sake of an 8 Desolate's supreme realm that restricts their abilities? Whoosh! Wang Kai was shocked when he heard that. He looked at the old man in shock. He did not expect the old man to know that there was a bottleneck in the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm. Once one reached the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm, one would no longer be able to advance to a higher level. Only by stepping into the Heavenly Soldier Realm from the Sovereign Realm could one continue to cultivate to a higher level. From what the old man said, The Azure Dragon Sovereign must have known about this. If that's the case, why did the past sovereigns commit suicide here? Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. Was there such a foolish sovereign in this world? Absolutely not. However, the old man's next words enlightened Wang Kai. He was so shocked that a chill ran down his spine. Who said that the past sovereigns committed suicide and died? That's just a perfunctory answer to the outside world. The deaths of the past sovereigns were all caused by me. The old man laughed with a hoarse voice. They were all killed by this old man. This, Wang Kai was stunned for a moment. Even if he racked his brains, he could not figure out what the crux of this matter was. Back then, I was the first 8 Desolation Supreme Realm expert in Ba Huang. I wanted to break into Tianzhou, but I was rejected by the Gate of Reincarnation. In order to enter Tianzhou, I thought of a way to revive myself, and now I've done it, the old man said with a faint smile. Revive. 8 Desolation Supremes. The first sovereign. Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. He could not help but squint his eyes and say in a low voice, "Isn't it rumored that ghost cultivators can be revived when they cultivate to a certain level? Could it be that it's using the lives of the past sovereigns? Moreover, there's already 8 Desolation Supreme, and you're—" Before Wang Kai could finish his words, the old man coughed and interrupted him. Yes and no. Just by relying on cultivation, ghost cultivators are dead people in the end. They can't become real people. That rumor is just a beautiful dream for many ghost cultivators, the old man said with a disdainful smile. However, Wang Kai could hear a hint of self-mockery in his laughter. From this, it could be seen that the old man also believed that cultivation could revive him. It was just that he had never succeeded. 110,000 years ago, I reached the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm and wanted to break into the Tianzhou. However, I didn't succeed, so I used a secret technique to split myself into 2. Naturally, my realm fell from the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm to the lowly Ghost Sovereign Realm. One was half a soul that merged with the living body and fused with the soul. The other half of the soul cultivated in the Soul Death Valley. After 10,000 years, it reached the Supreme Realm. At that time, the second 8 Desolation Supreme had already appeared in the 8 Desolation Supreme. At that time, the newly promoted 8 Desolation Supreme happened to break into the Tianzhou. I had long expected that the other sovereigns would take the opportunity to seize the position of 8 Desolation Supreme. Therefore, I didn't fight with them. When they failed, I was afraid that the 8 Desolation Supreme would come back and punish me. At this point, the old man's voice paused. He turned around and looked at Wang Kai with sparkling eyes. Therefore, you took the opportunity to plot with the first Heavenly Emperor. You wanted to use the lives of 10 sovereigns to revive you. The funny thing was that the other sovereigns didn't all agree. That's why you buried them in the reincarnation realm. Am I right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile. Papa. Hearing this, the old man nodded his head in praise. Tapping the ground with his walking stick, he laughed in a hoarse voice. Actually, it's not that everyone disagrees. There are only 2 who disagree. One is the Azure Dragon Sovereign, and the other is the always lazy Black Tortoise Sovereign. Hearing this, Wang Kai's mouth twitched. The Azure Dragon Supreme disagreed because he knew that once one reached the 8 Desolation Supreme level, one couldn't reach a higher level. Presumably, when Jing Xian went to the Tianzhou, the Azure Dragon Supreme didn't take the opportunity to seize her position. As for the Black Tortoise Supreme, Niu Zhetian was just lazy and didn't want to bother. Since that's the case, the 8 Desolation doesn't have any boundaries. It's just that they were confused by you and thought there was a boundary. So, you've been plotting since 110,000 years ago when you failed to go to the Tianzhou realm, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a faint smile. The old man nodded and raised his walking stick. He pointed behind Wang Kai and said with a hoarse voice, "Now, I still need the lives of 3 sovereigns to be fully revived. My second soul, the Heavenly Ghost Supreme, is outside the reincarnation realm. He must have already attacked the Heavenly Emperor who hasn't entered the reincarnation realm yet. The Heartless Supreme is behind you. If the Heavenly Ghost Supreme fails, whoosh!" Wang Kai suddenly turned around and saw the cold face of the Heartless Supreme. Hearing the old man's words and the current situation, he naturally understood his intentions. "So, you want to use my life to make up for the Heavenly Ghost Supreme's failure in killing the Heavenly Emperor? Or rather, you can't wait and want to be revived now. Am I right? However, this sect master really wants to tell you that you're finished for scheming against this sect master." Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile. Chapter 596. Cut the crap. Let's end this quickly. Swoosh. Prime Heartless shouted angrily. Her figure was like a swimming dragon as she instantly passed by Wang Kai. She flipped her jade-like hand and stabbed out with her sword. Crack, puff. Following a series of explosions, the barrier in front of the old man suddenly shattered. The sword directly pierced his heart and came out from his back. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's pupils suddenly shrank. The old man's eyes were also filled with shock. "How dare you release your cultivation? Aren't you afraid that all the disciples of the Heartless Tao sect will die in the reincarnation realm?" The old man roared and immediately tapped his walking stick, causing his body to separate from the long sword. Looking at the wisp of blood floating up and the old man's injuries that seemed to be nothing, Wang Kai immediately frowned. Prime Heartless had just used the strength of a supreme being. It was reasonable for her to be able to break the old man's barrier. However, the sword pierced through his heart, but it didn't hurt him at all. Rumble, rumble, crack, crack. Before Wang Kai could figure it out, waves of terrifying sounds came from the reincarnation realm. The mountains, rivers, and ground all shook violently. Furthermore, the void was being torn apart continuously. Thunder and lightning could be seen flashing from time to time. As expected of Prime Heartless, "You would rather bury the lives of all the disciples of the Heartless Tao sect to kill me?" The old man's face darkened, and his eyes were filled with coldness. If an expert of the Supreme Being realm or above wanted to enter the reincarnation realm, they had to suppress their cultivation to below the Supreme Being realm. Moreover, they couldn't use any methods or cultivation that surpassed that of a heavenly emperor in the reincarnation realm. Once used, it could cause the reincarnation realm to collapse and dissipate at any time. If that was the case, none of the cultivators who entered the reincarnation realm would survive. This was also the main reason why Wang Kai didn't use his cultivation just now and directly broke the old man's barrier. If he used his true cultivation, Wang Kai had absolute confidence that he could destroy the reincarnation realm with a single finger. "Even if I didn't do this, they would still die. Wang Kai, the Heavenly Emperor, has already gone to kill the Heavenly Ghost Supreme. Since you've come here, join hands with me." Before Heartless Prime could finish, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted him. "Patter." Wang Kai waved his fan and smiled casually. "There's no need for us to work together. This sect master only needs to shout and I can kill this trash." Whoosh. Once those words were spoken, Paragon Heartless' eyes narrowed. The old man let out a cold chuckle. "Young man, even though I don't have any cultivation or battle prowess, and my defensive barrier can't withstand Prime Heartless full-powered attacks, do you know why I'm guarding this place? Why not the reincarnation blood pool?" The old man stroked his beard and mocked. "Patter." Wang Kai gently waved his fan and pointed at the pile of rocks under the old man's feet. He said indifferently, "Are you trying to say that the Azure Dragon's heart can give you some help? Things will change if we delay. Kill." Swoosh. Paragon Heartless didn't care about the old man's words. he waved his long sword and thrust it forward with all his strength. The sword light was like a clap of thunder, filled with a destructive and merciless aura. Bang! The power of the Azure Dragon strengthened my body. I am the strongest in the world. Buzz! The old man forcefully raised his walking stick and fiercely tapped it on the pile of rubble. As he opened his mouth and softly chanted, the image of an azure dragon pierced through the rubble. The body of the azure dragon was not huge, only a few meters long. Its eyes were blood-red and it did not have any intelligence, as if it was under someone's control. The moment it appeared, it coiled around the old man's body. It opened its mouth and bit the sword light, causing it to scatter in all directions. 8 Desolation's Supreme Realm. I was wondering why you were able to kill so many Supremes when you split your soul into 2 parts. It turns out that you can use the power of the Reincarnation Realm to enter the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm. Paragon Heartless' face turned colder. Her eyes were filled with icy, killing intent. Paragon Heartless was prepared to die, but at the same time, she was ready to fight to the death. Wrong. I wasn't the one who killed the Supremes back then. It was the first Heavenly Emperor. This old man just wants to use the Azure Dragon's corpse. The old man straightened his body, and his eyes shone with a bright light. He had changed from his old and decrepit appearance to that of a vigorous dragon and a lively tiger. The old man's cultivation had reached the highest level in the 8 Desolations. You conspired with the Sky Emperor. The Sky Emperor killed the Azure Dragon and gave it to you to use. You used it to step into the 8 Desolates' Supreme Realm. Unfortunately, the first Sky Emperor fell into your trap and is now dead. Wang Kai shrugged, his expression as usual. It was as if the 8 Desolation Supreme Realm was nothing in front of him. Wang Kai's calmness caused Paragon Heartless and the old man's hearts to tremble. So what? The first Heavenly Emperor and the previous 8 Desolation Supremes were just chess pieces on my board. The same goes for the 2 of you. Die. The old man stroked his beard and yelled. Buzz. Roar. Roar. Suddenly, the Azure Dragon's silhouette appeared. It opened its mouth and a ball of azure light gathered in its mouth. Azure lightning. Whoosh. When the green lightning shot out, Prime Heartless was so shocked that her body stiffened. Faced with such a frightening attack, even she was stunned at this moment. It was an attack that could not be stopped. The Azure Dragon's ultimate skill. What green thunder and red thunder. Look at my second kick. Whoosh. Just as Paragon Heartless was about to die, she heard Wang Kai's casual laughter. Her body suddenly felt warm as Wang Kai hugged her tightly. Bang. Buzz. Wang Kai gently lifted his foot and kicked. The green lightning disappeared without a trace. It was as if it had never appeared in the first place. This, Paragon Heartless was dumbfounded. She even forgot that she was in Wang Kai's embrace. She even forgot that Wang Kai was squeezing her buttocks. When he looked at the old man again, he was so shocked that his jaw almost fell to the ground. The walking stick in his hand fell to the ground involuntarily, letting out clattering sound. Azure Dragon Supremacy, if you don't wake up now, when are you going to wake up? Whoosh! Wang Kai flipped his hand and took out the green dragon token. He threw it at the green dragon illusionary figure, causing the green dragon illusionary figure's body to curl up. The blood color in the dragon's eyes gradually disappeared. Roar! Within the Azure Dragon Dao tablet, a low and deep roar was also emitted. A similar Azure Dragon illusion floated out from within. My body is already dead. Although this token still has a strand of consciousness, it can't save anyone. Old ancestor, quickly wake up. Don't be controlled by this vile person. The Azure Dragon's figure in the Azure Dragon token opened its mouth and roared in a deep voice. Bastard! Suddenly, the old man roared in anger. His figure arrived in front of the Azure Dragon's figure, and he raised his hand to take control of it again. Bastard, your grandpa! Settle your grandpa's debt. Go back and lie down. Bang! Wu, however, before the old man could succeed, he was kicked by Wang Kai, causing him to vomit blood and fly back. His body, which was originally full of vigor, instantly became old and feeble. I've already said that I used the second kick. Destroying the azure lightning was only the first kick. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with an indifferent smile. Chapter 597. Take your hand away, Prime Heartless said coldly. She held her sword tightly. Her eyes were icy. If she was not aware that she was no match for Wang Kai, she would have swung her sword and slashed at him. After fighting with Wang Kai a few times, Prime Heartless was aware of Wang Kai's shameless personality. If she were to fall out with him, Wang Kai might do something that would embarrass her with his overwhelming cultivation. She did not feel anything? Could it be that she was made of stone? Wang Kai frowned when he saw this. He couldn't help but pinch even harder. Only after the Heartless Sovereign's murderous intent was completely exposed did he withdraw his hand. Prime Heartless' expression was still cold and emotionless. Although she was angry, she did not look like a woman who was being molested. Heartless, her feelings were gone. Sigh, look at you. You've been acting cool for half a day, and you've even talked to me for half a day. In the end, you've achieved nothing. You can't even withstand a kick from me. Your 100,000 years of hard work has been wasted in a single move. You should be pissed to death. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a sigh. Once those words were said, the old man's complexion immediately turned ashen. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was truly enraged by Wang Kai's words. At first, he was still leisurely describing his plan and strategy. But when everything was about to succeed, it was all destroyed by a brat who didn't care at all. Cough cough, who exactly are you? What's your cultivation? Why didn't the realm of reincarnation collapse? Why? The old man raised his head and screamed like a mad demon. His body even began to crack as he trembled violently. It felt like his old bones were going to shatter at any second. This scene caused the corners of Wang Kai's mouth to twitch slightly. He involuntarily waved his fan and sighed. Look at your appearance. So what if you have been reborn and taken over another person's body? In the end, you'll still turn into a pile of dust. Why bother? As for who this sect master is and what realm I am at, if I'm not strong, I can turn the sky into dregs. If I'm not weak, I can turn the earth into sand. The creator of the universe, Wang Kai. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man was so angry that he vomited blood and fell to the ground. His face was extremely distorted as he glared at Wang Kai. He raised his trembling arm and said in a hoarse voice, It's all your fault, cough cough. One. Bang. Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped the folding fan in his hand and swung it across the air. Immediately, the old man's body was sent flying and crashed into a pile of rock. What does this have to do with this sect master? I originally wanted to respect the old and love the young, but you're too old. You're a person from over 100,000 years ago. You're not strong enough to scheme against others and ended up in such a state. You're clearly the one who asked for it, okay? Wang Kai frowned and sneered with disdain. Heavenly ghost, back then you incited the Celestial Emperor to kill me without hesitation. Now that I've fallen to this state, it can be considered karma. However, I have outstanding descendants. As for you, forget it, I can finally rest in peace. Roar. After the Azure Dragon's figure completely regained its consciousness, it roared a few times in a low voice. Then, it coiled its body and rushed into the sky. Finally, it disappeared into thin air. Only the dragon's roar reverberated in the void and did not dissipate. Azure Dragon Sovereign, you wah! Bang! The old man was so angry that his body suddenly stiffened. His head tilted to the side and he died on the spot. Even though he was dead, his eyes were still wide open. It could be seen that he died with his eyes wide open. After receiving repeated blows from Wang Kai and the final words of the already dead Azure Dragon Prime, Xiao Chen's heart was deeply shaken. Although there were many ghost cultivators in the Soul Break Valley, how could the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign have any descendants? How could there be any inheritors? However, the Azure Dragon Sovereign was different. The Azure Dragon Hall that he had established was still a sovereign faction. Moreover, all the disciples were of the Azure Dragon clan. There were no experts from other clans mixed in. The first soul of the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign has been destroyed. Now there's only the second soul left. I wonder if the Heavenly Emperor will succeed. Prime Heartless frowned as a cold light flashed in her beautiful eyes. A fake Heavenly Emperor to kill the real Heavenly Ghost Sovereign. She really dared to kill him. Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. With a flip of his hand, the Azure Dragon Dao token appeared in his hand. Then, he sneered, looks like I should have settled the matter of the reincarnation blood pool earlier. If the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign really dies in the hands of the Heavenly Emperor, whoosh. Hearing this, Prime Heartless frowned even more. Seeing that Wang Kai was about to leave, she immediately drew out her sword and placed it in front of him. The succession of the Azure Dragon is right here. The Dao token is the only key to open it. Don't you want it? Prime Heartless said with a frown. The succession of the Azure Dragon? The so-called 5 Emperor Dao tokens represented the graves of the deceased supremes in the reincarnation realm? No, I'll give it to you. Wang Kaisan came to a realization. He casually tossed the blue Dragon Dao badge to Heartless Prime like he was tossing a piece of trash. Seeing this, Prime Heartless' eyes flickered rapidly as she stared at the Azure Dragon Dao token floating in front of her. Her eyes were filled with hesitation. However, as Wang Kai was about to leave, Prime Heartless gave up on taking the Azure Dragon Dao token. She once again raised her sword and stopped Wang Kai. What are you trying to do? Are you done yet? I touched your butt, but you didn't let me touch it. I'm leaving, but you still won't let me go. Do you want me to stay and do you? Wang Kai frowned and said impatiently. You! Prime Heartless' eyes suddenly froze when she heard this. Her jade-like hand that was holding the long sword trembled slightly in anger. The cold pressure of the Heartless Dao immediately swept out in all directions. However, in Wang Kai's eyes, this kind of pressure was not the slightest bit intimidating. That's enough. This sect master is such an outstanding individual. I really don't have the time to bicker and brag with you here. If there comes a day when you are prepared to cleanse yourself and offer your body, then open your mouth and stop this sect master. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. After speaking, he stepped into the air. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Buzz. Swoosh. Crack. However, before Wang Kai could leave, just as he stepped into the void, his back was slashed by Prime Heartless' sword light. However, the sword light shattered and dissipated. The clothes on Wang Kai's back were also torn apart, but there was not the slightest injury. Not even a scratch was left on his back. Seeing this scene, Prime Heartless frowned even more. She was shocked by the strength of Wang Kai's physical body. She had no choice but to hurriedly speak to calm Wang Kai's anger. Wang Kai, don't misunderstand, the reincarnation blood pond isn't as easy as you think it is. I'm sure you've noticed it over the past few days. Paragon Heartless said calmly. Chapter 598. Misunderstanding? Misunderstanding my ass. Whoosh. Wang Kai scolded angrily. He turned around and landed on the ground. He raised his hands and grabbed Heartless Prime's wrist. You. What are you going to do? Wang Kai raised his hands. Heartless Prime's arms were raised high into the sky, making her chest seem even more firm. What do you think? If it weren't for my sturdy body, I would have vomited a lot of blood from that slash, right? Not only did you fail, you even made a misunderstanding. I'll make you misunderstand. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai furrowed his eyebrows and formed a claw with his free hand. He ruthlessly tore off Heartless Sovereign's clothes and even her undergarments and undergarments. Whoosh. When Prime Heartless' alluring figure was exposed to the air, Wang Kai immediately held his breath. I swear I'll kill you. The Heartless Sovereign's face was bone-chillingly cold. His eyes, which were filled with bone-piercing killing intent, swept over Wang Kai. In the blink of an eye, he slowly closed his eyes. Her face was calm, as if she had accepted her fate. Her body did not tremble at all. However, Wang Kai knew that she no longer cared about what he would do to her. She only wanted to live and kill him cruelly. Wang Kai was startled. He reached out his hand to touch her, but it froze in the air. He was not afraid of Heartless Prime's revenge, but his family and friends were. Sometimes, concern was the weakness of any expert. Wang Kai was no exception to this custom. Thinking of this, Wang Kai could only sigh in his heart. It seems like I can only act tough and be a gentleman for once. Whoosh! With a flip of his hand, Wang Kai ruthlessly slapped Heartless Prime's buttocks. That crisp sound, that bouncing flesh, and that warm and soft sensation were truly enough to make one's soul ecstasy. However, that was all he could do at this moment. Heartless Sovereign, you must first think this through properly. You were the one who launched a sneak attack on this sect master, not the other way around. Do you understand? Wang Kai loosened his grip and released Heartless Sovereign. Whoosh! Heartless Prime opened her eyes when she heard this. She stood there completely naked, unlike ordinary women who would use their hands to cover their bodies. You're scared, aren't you? Heartless Prime sneered. Scared? Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyebrows suddenly twisted, and the veins on his forehead bulged. He gripped the folding fan tightly and stared at her without a trace of emotion. He said in a deep voice, "Do you think this sect master is really afraid of you?" Whoosh! Seeing such a cold and emotionless appearance, the Heartless Prime was startled. It was as if the person in front of him was a mirror that reflected his own reflection. She had never seen Wang Kai like this before. As a result, he was momentarily stunned. She was not scared. She was shocked. Since you're Yun Feiqing's master, I won't kill you. However, I'll take off your clothes to teach you a lesson for attacking me. If you continue to push your luck, you'll know that death is nothing but an extravagant hope. Wang Kai said coldly. After saying those words, Wang Kai soared into the sky. However, before he could leave, he was once again stopped by the Heartless Sovereign. Whoosh! Prime Heartless was naked. Her jade feet were in the air, and she spread her arms to block Wang Kai's path. Wang Kai was dazzled by the sight of the white rabbit that was still bouncing in the air. Looking down again, there was a dense, Heartless Prime. Don't go too far. Do you believe that this religion master won't kill you first? Wang Kai clenched his teeth and said angrily. If this continued, Wang Kai would not be able to control himself. He would kill her on the spot. Whoosh! Heartless Prime's eyes were still cold. She took out a dress and put it on. Then, she said indifferently, with your cultivation, you should be able to find the exact location of the reincarnation blood pool with your divine soul. However, you're wrong. You won't be able to reach it. Won't be able to reach it? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but take back his gaze with regret. Just now, he couldn't help but want her to disappear from his sight, but now that she was wearing a dress, he suddenly wanted to see her again. What do you mean? Tell me quickly. I really don't want to see you right now. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and turned his back to her with an impatient expression. Rip! Suddenly, the sound of clothes being torn was heard. Wang Kai turned around and saw Heartless Prime tearing a part of her dress. This was not the situation that he had imagined. "You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" Wang Kai's face darkened as he said angrily. When the Heartless Sovereign heard this, he indifferently glanced at him. After he finished tying the belt of the dress, he indifferently said, "It's just that your thoughts are dirty. You. Good. Not bad, not bad. I hope you can go to the Tianzhou continent." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled mockingly. As long as Heartless Prime went to the Tianzhou continent, she would never have the chance to hurt the people he cared about. When that time comes, wouldn't it be up to him to do whatever he wanted to her? "Of course I will go to the Tianzhou continent. I hope you will as well," Heartless Prime said coldly. She did not hide the murderous intent in her eyes at all. Clap, clap. Wang Kai immediately clapped when he heard that. He raised his eyebrows and praised, "Good, not bad. You have guts and personality. Tell me, how can I go to the reincarnation blood pool?" "It's very simple. Take out the 10 keys hidden in the reincarnation world where the 10 sovereigns died. When that time comes, you can go to the reincarnation blood pool at any time and obtain the sovereign's inheritance," Heartless Prime said indifferently. "I see. No wonder I couldn't reach the reincarnation blood pool even though I could see it. There was another world in the reincarnation world. A world within a world? If it weren't for Lu Tian, Yang Wei, and the others in the reincarnation world, Wang Kai would have destroyed the reincarnation world with a single punch. It would have saved him a lot of trouble. If that's the case, what are we waiting for? This sect master has 4 Dao tablets here." Wang Kai shrugged and said with a proud smile. "Buzz." As soon as his words left his mouth, Wang Kai took out the 4 Dao tablets under Heartless Prime's astonished gaze. Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Black Tortoise, and Qilin. Wang Kai finally understood why the Qilin's Dao tablet had appeared at the same time as the 4 divine beasts. The reason was that Heavenly Ghost Prime did not leave behind any inheritance. He had chosen to let the Qilin die in his place. 4 Dao tablets. You actually have such great luck and opportunity. Unfortunately, you are still missing the vermilion bird. But that's fine. With 4 keys and your cultivation, you can take all the remaining keys, Heartless Prime said indifferently. Chapter 599. What a joke. Do I need to use my cultivation to plunder? As long as I am willing, I only need to wave my sleeves. Isn't it a matter of minutes? Wang Kai curled his lips and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Minutes, a matter of waving his hand. Heartless Sovereign's eyes turned colder and colder when he heard this. He directly chose to ignore him and stood there quietly. He said indifferently, "Sect Leader Wang, since the Azure Dragon Dao token is in your hands, then let's do it." "How do I do it?" Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He held the Azure Dragon Dao token and asked with some doubt. Swish. As soon as these words were spoken, even Heartless Sovereign widened her beautiful eyes and stared blankly at Wang Kai. Since he didn't know, why was he still pretending? Could it be that pretending in front of a woman was very satisfying? Just throw the Azure Dragon Dao token into the pile of rocks. At that time, "Forget it, let's do it," Heartless Sovereign said indifferently. Hearing this, Wang Kai gently nodded. He held the Azure Dragon Dao token and played with it non-stop. With a playful expression, he said with a smile, "Actually, I already knew. Just now I was just testing your sincerity." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Testing sincerity? Heartless Sovereign's killing intent was immediately revealed. He immediately sneered mercilessly, "Wang Kai, this sovereign's intention to kill you will not change. Moreover, with your cultivation, this sovereign cannot scheme against you. This is the reincarnation realm, you can easily break it. How can you test sincerity? Why are you so agitated? This sect leader was just bragging. This made you so agitated. Sigh, it seems that this sect leader's bragging skills have reached another level. He can even affect other people's emotions. Wang Kai shrugged and sighed with emotion. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the first stage of the Heavenly General Realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully reaching the Heavenly General Realm and stepping into the threshold of the Heavenly Martial Artist. Congratulations to host for successfully reaching the Heavenly General Realm. Your heavenly energy has been upgraded to level 2. Host, Wang Kai Class, Heavenly Martial Artist Realm, First Grade Heavenly General Dao Technique, The Way of Bragging Divine Ability, Luck Deprivation Technique, Great Summoning Technique Equipment, Tong Tian Tower, Ever-Changing Fan Power of Heaven, Level 2 Star Source Points, 0 Physique, Invulnerable Guardian Spirit Beast, None Bragging Points, 15500 Experience, 0600000. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard the notification. He didn't notice that Heartless Prime, who was trembling with anger, had a cold look in her eyes. She wanted nothing more than to tear Wang Kai apart. How infuriating! My experience has increased by 100,000, and my power of heaven has been upgraded to level 2. The 12 revolutions of the Silver Moon has disappeared, leaving only the Great Summoning Technique and the Luck Deprivation Technique of the 3,000 Great Ways. Wang Kai frowned and glanced at it casually before closing it with his mind. Since the Great Summoning Art and the Providence Deprivation Art of the 3,000 Great Tao still exist, why aren't the Yellow Springs Sand Sea and other arts of the 3,000 Great Tao recorded in the records? Wang Kai asked in surprise. Host, the system only records the top 10 techniques and divine abilities of the 3,000 Great Ways. The rest are not qualified, but the host can cultivate and use them. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai came to a realization. The 3,000 Great Ways were also ranked, and the Great Summoning Technique and the Luck Deprivation Technique were ranked in the top 10. Even if one could cultivate and use the techniques of the Great Ways outside of the top 10, they would not be recorded by the system. Heavenly Soldier Realm, Heavenly General Realm, what else is there after that? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and asked with a surprised expression. Host, the realm you are in is called the One Heavenly Realm. It belongs to the first level of the 3 heavenly realms. In order, it is Heavenly Soldier, Heavenly General, and Heavenly Origin. Just as Wang Kai was waiting for the system to tell him the next realm, there was no sound for a long time. Such a situation immediately caused Wang Kai's forehead to be filled with black lines. Even the system has learned to keep people in suspense. How unlucky! The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched violently as he snorted speechlessly. He then flipped his hand and threw the Azure Dragon Dao token into the pile of rock. 1. Ao. Suddenly, a deep dragon roar resounded, and the pile of rubble began to rumble and tremble incessantly. Gradually, the entrance to an underground passage appeared in front of him. How troublesome! Heartless Prime, go down and take out the key. The Azure Dragon's inheritance and treasures are all yours. Wang Kai shrugged and waved his hand impatiently. It would be impolite to refuse. Heartless Prime's eyes narrowed when she heard this. She swept a glance full of ridicule at Wang Kai before her figure disappeared into the passage in a flash. Wang Kai didn't care about this at all. No matter how awesome the Azure Dragon Sovereign's inheritance was, he didn't care about it at all. Whoosh! In less than 100 breaths, Heartless Prime's figure passed through the passage. She flipped her jade-like hand and threw a green palm-sized key to Wang Kai. Patter! Wang Kai was rather surprised when he saw this. He received the key and sized it up. He discovered that the key was definitely 5,000 kilograms in weight. The heavenly ghost sovereign sure knows how to play. He purposely left the key and sovereign's inheritance for the successors of the various sovereign factions to fight over it, while he happily killed the sovereign experts to achieve his goal. Wang Kai shrugged and inwardly laughed. Wrong. The reason why the reincarnation blood pool is called the reincarnation blood pool is because it requires the fresh blood of all the cultivators who have entered the reincarnation realm. Over the past 10 generations, countless people have been buried here. The only ones who were able to walk out in the end were the next generation of sovereigns. Only 10 people. Heartless Prime said indifferently. Only 10 people had walked out of the reincarnation realm in the past? What was the use of that? Even if they became sovereigns, wouldn't they still be killed by the heavenly ghost sovereign after 10,000 years? From the beginning to the end, the heavenly ghost sovereign had benefited. What about the azure dragon sovereign's inheritance? What about the treasures? Don't tell me there aren't any? Wang Kai's brows twisted as he sized her up in surprise. However, he didn't discover anything. Heartless Prime frowned slightly upon hearing this. Her eyes were filled with disdain and killing intent as she flipped her hand and took out a green box. She coldly said, "I knew that you didn't mean what you said." Stop, stop, stop. This sect master was just casually asking. In terms of treasures and inheritances, this sect master has been able to create them since young. In this world, there are pitifully few things that can catch this sect master's eye. Except for women. Especially a woman like you who is cold to the bone. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled with a rather licentious expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Since you've already obtained a key from the Azure Dragon Sovereign, let's go to the Phoenix Cry Mountain and the Phoenix Arena next. That's where the Vermilion Bird Sovereign and the Phoenix Venerable fell. Heartless Prime said indifferently. Hee, that's right, that's right. The colder you are, the more this sect master likes it. The more I look forward to the scene when I reach the Tianzhou region in the future. One night at a time. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. As soon as he finished speaking, he gently fanned himself and stepped into the air. Heartless Prime snorted coldly and followed after him. Chapter 600. Phoenix Cry Mountain, Phoenix Arena. After a series of battles, there were close to 10,000 corpses lying on the huge Phoenix Arena. Most of them were earthly venerables and below. Hundreds of heavenly venerables were killed or injured. At this moment, Fatso Lu and the others were panting heavily. Their bodies were covered in blood, and they were surrounded by many powerhouses. They had killed until their hands went limp. Even the pure Yang overlord body, Yang Wei, was panting heavily. Looking at the green and red ghosts, Kanran and Fatso Lu, they were already bent over, panting as they scanned the surrounding experts. The only ones who could still stand without bending over were Ling Feng and Yang Wei. The two of them seemed to be competing with each other. Even though they were exhausted, they did not bend over. Even though the long sword and fists in their hands were shaking, they did not show any intention of retreating. On the other hand, the successors of the powerhouses from various forces were frightened by Yang Wei and the others. Until now, they did not dare to charge forward. They could only look at each other, waiting for the one who stood out to take the initiative to attack. Even though they could see how weak Fatso Lu and the others were, they did not dare to charge forward. After all, the 10,000 corpses lying on the ground were not fake. Among them, hundreds of peak heavenly venerables were not fake. The people from Discord sect are too strong, too ruthless. If only the famous Wang Kai was here. God! Such thoughts appeared in everyone's minds. For a moment, they were so frightened that their hearts were beating violently. Their expressions suddenly became ruthless. Everyone, let's attack together. They obviously can't hold on for long. If Wang Kai, the sect leader of Discord sect, comes, I'm afraid, an elder said with a frown. As soon as he said that, everyone's hearts were stirred. They nodded immediately, and their eyes were filled with murderous intent as they gripped their weapons tightly. Ha ha, there is no need for the sect leader to come. I Yang Wei can kill all of you. Cough cough. I'll kill all of you. Yang Wei looked up and laughed, his face pale. On the other hand, Ling Feng chose to remain silent. The long sword in his hand was a clear indication of his determination to fight to the death. Even though they had agreed to split the work to obtain the fruit of earth, it was still difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. No matter how strong they were, they could not fight against tens of thousands of people at the same time. After all, in the reincarnation realm, no matter how strong you were, you could only unleash the power of a peak heavenly venerable, and peak Empyrean powerhouses present were not in the minority. Moreover, there were other experts assisting and interfering from the side. So, it was undoubtedly as difficult as ascending to the heavens to escape. Heh, if senior brother arrives at this time, wouldn't we have no chance to kill him? Kanran licked his lips and grinned with a sinister expression. On the side, Fatso Lu's big face trembled when he heard this. He panted and said, Uncle Wang, you better come over quickly. Uncle Lu would rather kill two less people, damn it. Fatty with no ambition. Green Ghost snorted disdainfully. Red Wraith also pursed his lips and said with a disdainful smile, And you say that you're the sect master's brother who grew up together. With your guts, Everyone, let's attack together. Kill. 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 Rumble. Rumble. In an instant, the figures of many experts flashed. Their terrifying battle auras were unleashed together, causing the entire Fallen Phoenix arena to tremble. Who are we killing? Whoosh! Bang bang bang! Suddenly, before those experts could get close, they heard a thunderous laughter explode beside their ears. Immediately, it shook many experts, causing them to involuntarily stop their attacks and raise their heads to look at the sky. High up in the sky, Wang Kai's white robes fluttered without any wind. His handsome face, starry eyes, sword-like eyebrows, and he gently waved a folding fan in his hand. He appeared calm and unfathomable. He was extremely dashing. Beside him, Heartless Prime's figure was graceful. Her beautiful face was filled with bone-chilling coldness. She held a horsetail whisk in her jade-like hand and looked down with picturesque eyes. At first glance, they looked like an immortal couple. However, in the eyes of the crowd, Wang Kai and Heartless Prime were as frightening as nightmares. Wang Kai. Wang Kai. The sect leader of the heavenly sect. Wang Kai. No. That's Heartless Prime. Why is she with Wang Kai? Have they teamed up? Heavens! Wang Kai is already stronger than a 9 Heavens Supreme, and with Heartless Prime, it's over for us. Ding dang. Bang bang, at that instant, the sound of armor being thrown to the ground could be heard. The crowd subconsciously threw their weapons to the ground and fell to the ground as if they had lost all their strength. Some of them even started to tremble. It was as if they had gone insane. Ha! You're finally here. Such an aura, such an entrance, TSK, impressive. However, you're still a little weaker than me. Seeing this, Fatso Lu was overjoyed. While he secretly breathed a sigh of relief, he could not help but brag. Ling Feng, Yang Wei, and the Red Ghost were relieved too. If Wang Kai did not show up, they would surely lose if the battle continued. Even though they would still be able to kill many experts, they would still end up dead in the end. That was the truth, but they could not afford to lose face. Hee Patriarch, you've come at the wrong time. I was planning to kill a few more. Yang Wei swung his arm and raised his hand to wipe the blood on his lips. He looked extremely ferocious. He was comparable to Duan Dao. That's right. Ling Feng shook his sword and said in a cold tone. Ha ha ha, these people are not enough for me to devour. The red ghost and the green ghost exchanged glances with one another and burst out laughing. However, after saying this, they sat on the ground and began to adjust their breathing. They thought that with Wang Kai's arrival, they would definitely win this battle. Well, not bad. You're worthy of being a member of the Discord sect. You're good at bragging. But, compared with this sect master's skill, no, it's rare to find someone who can stand shoulder to shoulder with this sect master. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You've gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. The Kuan spirit tree and the fruit of earth are all gone? Suddenly, Heartless Prime's beautiful eyes narrowed as she looked at the empty Kuan spirit tree in surprise. Where was the fruit of earth on it? Even the branches and leaves had been stripped clean. There was even a cut at the root. It was likely that it would be impossible for him to bear another fruit. I was too anxious just now. I accidentally chopped the Kuan spirit tree to death. Duan Dao licked his lips and smiled ferociously. Oh, we've collected all the fruit of earth. Fatso Lu waved his hand and said. The green ghost and the red ghost also echoed. We've also collected most of them. We've also collected the branches and leaves. As soon as these words came out, Heartless Prime's forehead was full of black lines. She immediately glared at Wang Kai with disdain. If it weren't for her fear of his cultivation, she really wanted to say, Are you all bandits? You won't even let go of the branches and leaves? Looking at the resentful looks of the experts, it was understandable that they would not let them go even if they died. If it were anyone else, they would not let Fatso Lu and the others go. Chapter 601. Haha, we haven't seen each other for many years, but your character of bragging still hasn't changed. Fatso Lu shook his big belly and stood up with a loud laugh. They really knew each other? Yang Wei and the green and red ghosts looked at each other and were speechless. At first, they thought that Fatso Lu was talking nonsense, and that they had saved him out of convenience. Now, it seemed that he was really close to Wang Kai. Well, I didn't expect you to come to the 8 Barren Land. It's been 4 years, right? Not bad, you have reached the peak Heavenly Master level. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a smile. Yang Wei and the green and red ghosts expressed their disdain for him. Sect Master, you don't know that he could reach the peak Heavenly Master level because he secretly swallowed more than a dozen fruit of earth. Green Ghost said, curling his lips. Seeing this, Red Wraith was even more afraid that Wang Kai did not know what the fruit of earth was capable of. He immediately added, 1 fruit of earth can instantly break through a grade. This is indeed true. As the Arhat of the Golden Cicada Temple, he entered the reincarnation realm more than 10 days before us. If we calculate the time, it should be more than 10 years. Yang Wei pinched his wrist and said in an indignant tone. If not for the help, they did not think that Fatso Lu could break through so quickly. After all, he had gotten to know Fatso Lu a lot during their journey here. Nonsense. You speak as if you didn't eat it. Fatso Lu glared at them and snorted in an unfriendly tone. The green and red ghosts were speechless. Indeed, they had swallowed a few. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for them to reach the peak Heavenly Master level so quickly. Even Yang Wei had swallowed a few of them. It was just that they did not swallow as many as Fatso Lu. Wang Kai did not care about this at all. No matter how powerful the fruit of earth was, it was useless to him. Ling Feng, Canren, I didn't expect you to come to the 8 Barren Land and enter the reincarnation realm more than 10 days before us. Which supreme force have you joined? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Papa. Canren raised his hand and slapped his bald head. He grinned and said, White Tiger Palace. Soul-shattering valley. Ling Feng replied in an indifferent manner. Even though they had not seen each other for a long time, Ling Feng was still as cold as ever. Wang Kai, who understood his personality, naturally didn't mind. Instead, he was rather curious about the faction he had joined. The soul-shattering valley has become the disciple of the heavenly ghost sovereign? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a rather strange expression. In his heart, he was more or less worried. In the soul-breaking valley, the first ghost cultivator to enter the reincarnation realm must have a very high status. Thus, becoming a disciple of Heavenly Ghost Sovereign was the most direct method. If Ling Feng really was Supreme Heavenly Ghost's disciple, and he had just destroyed Supreme Heavenly Ghost's first avatar, cutting off his path of reincarnation, he's not qualified to be my master, Ling Feng said coldly. Hearing this, Wang Kai breathed a sigh of relief. If Ling Feng really was Supreme Heavenly Ghost's disciple, how could he explain the matter of killing Supreme Heavenly Ghost? My big brother was able to enter the reincarnation realm not because he became Supreme Heavenly Ghost's disciple, but because— Shut up! Before Qin Ren could finish his words, Ling Feng, who was standing by the side, had already stopped him with a frown. His eyes were filled with anger and coldness. In response, Qin Ren only shrugged and didn't say anything else. You bastard Ling Feng! As my ghost servant, you actually left without permission and didn't come to find me for many days. What crime do you think you deserve? Swoosh! Suddenly, a sharp reprimand rang out, causing Wang Kai and the others to be stunned. They raised their heads and looked at the void in the distance. Over there, 4 figures were rushing over. The one who was leading the group was also a familiar face. Immortal Martial Domain, Underworld Province, the son of Emperor Ming, the master of the 9 nether cold flames, the king of the underworld, Ming Yi. Ghost servant. Ling Feng was actually Ming Ye's ghost servant. No wonder he stopped Qin Ren and told him the truth. I was just about to look for you. Since you're here, then die. Swoosh! Ling Feng snorted coldly. With a tap of his foot, he stepped into the air and brandished his longsword. He thrust it out and faced Ming Yi, who was rapidly approaching. Presumptuous! How dare a mere ghost servant be so arrogant? Swoosh! The 3 ghost cultivators behind Ming Yi shouted in unison. Their bodies moved and passed by Ming Yi. They waved their hands and shot out streaks of pitch-black death chi. Buzz! Bang! Bang! However, under Ling Feng's sword, the streaks of death chi were like decorations. They were directly pierced by the sword light and scattered. Even the 3 ghost cultivators' bodies exploded, turning into a rain of blood that rained down from the sky. Ling Feng's current cultivation was comparable to that of the outside world. Coupled with the fruit of earth, he had reached the peak of the Heavenly Master realm. Compared to the 3 ghost cultivators who had just stepped into the Heavenly Master realm, he was much stronger. Although ghost cultivators were dead, they still had the talent of the ghost way. There were also differences in their strength. The death of the 3 ghost cultivators and Ling Feng's powerful cultivation did not make Ming Yi feel the slightest bit of fear. There was only surprise. Peak of the Heavenly Master realm. Not bad. You're only 1 step away from me. Get back here and be a good ghost servant. When the Heavenly Ghost Master comes back to life and enters Tianzhou, I will bring you along with me, Ming Yi said flatly. Swoosh! Hearing this, Ling Feng did not say anything. His body did not slow down. The long sword in his hand continuously slashed at Ming Yi. 7 ultimate swords, 7 ultimate sky slash. Swoosh! 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 In an instant, 7 streaks of pitch-black sword light formed from death chi lined up in a row and pierced toward Ming Yi. After using this move, even Ling Feng, who was at the peak of the Heavenly Master realm, turned pale. His body swayed in the air. It was obvious that he had used all his combat strength. Now, he could only barely maintain his footing in the air. Looks like you still haven't experienced the uniqueness of the mystical flame. Since that's the case, I'll let you experience it once again. destroy. 1. Puff puff puff. Suddenly, as soon as Ming Ye's voice fell, streams of purple flames attacked. The bone-chilling temperature instantly spread for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Whether it was the mountains, rivers, grass, trees, earth, or even any living being, everything was sealed in ice. Their life force also disappeared in an instant. Under this move, all the cultivators of the various forces within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles were annihilated. There were tens of thousands of them. The cultivators that were chased out of Feng Ming Mountain by Wang Kai also turned into ice sculptures and died miserably. The only ones who were unharmed were Wang Kai and the others on the fallen Phoenix Terrace. Under the suppression of Wang Kai's cultivation, the Nine Serenity's cold flame was unable to get close to Feng Ming Mountain. Looking from afar, hundreds of thousands of miles were frozen. Only the Phoenix Cry Mountain in the center was still green and lush. Bang bang bang! Crack! Crack! At this moment, Ling Feng was naturally not affected. However, the 7 ultimate swords that he had slashed out were being frozen and shattered one by one. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the 7 ultimate swords were broken. If the 7 ultimate swords were broken, Ling Feng would also be frozen and killed in an instant. Chapter 602. Sect Leader, should we go over and help him? Green Ghost asked with a frown. Red Ghost and Yang Wei were both tempted to do so. Putting aside the fact that Ling Feng and Wang Kai were old acquaintances, just the fact that they had fought side by side meant that Ling Feng couldn't just stand by and watch. On the other hand, Fatty Lu and Ken Rin were extremely calm. They raised their heads and watched the battle in the sky without saying a word. There's no need for that. This battle is a grudge between Ling Feng and Ming Yi. Even Ling Feng would not allow us to interfere in a battle to end it. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with an indifferent smile. Green Ghost and Red Ghost and Yang Wei could not help but look at each other. It was not that they did not understand what Wang Kai meant, but of the 7 sword lights in the sky, 2 were gone and now only 3 were left. Especially Ming Yi, whose face was as calm as usual. His appearance made Yang Wei and the Green and Red Ghosts frown. If this continued, Ling Feng would definitely be the one to lose. Without the help of the mysterious fire, Ming Yi would not be Ling Feng's match, no matter how talented he was. But the mysterious fire was too powerful. Big Brother has never liked others interfering in his matters. Now that he has come to the 8 Desolates, this will not change. If you interfere, even if you save Big Brother, he will not be grateful. He will only want to kill you. Kenrin licked his lips and sneered ferociously. Swoosh! Yang Wei and Green Ghost's mouths twitched when they heard this. They speechlessly glanced at Ling Feng in the sky, curled their lips, and turned their heads away. You want to save face and suffer. Yang Wei snorted. He hates us for saving someone. What a weirdo. Green Ghost curled his lips and said. Furthermore, even if we were to save him, would he be able to defeat us? Red Wraith added. Yang Wei and Green Ghost snorted in response. Their faces were filled with disdain. Haha, Wang Kai, they are indeed the ones who founded your sect. Their bragging skills are really good. Kenrin licked his lips and sneered disdainfully. Whoosh! Hearing this, the red and green demons, and even Yang Wei turned their gazes and stared coldly at Remnant Blade. You're not convinced? Yang Wei clenched his fists and said coldly. Papa. Kenrin slapped his bald head and grinned. I'm not convinced. Fight. 1. Suddenly, Yang Wei let out a loud roar, raised his fist, and took the lead to smash the broken blade. Did you grow up eating excrement? Such a weak fist. Bang. Ding dang. Broken Blade raised his broken black saber and blocked Yang Wei's fist with the back of the saber. It's just a piece of scrap metal. Watch as this Hall Master shatters it. Whoosh. Crack. Gritting his teeth, Yang Wei clenched his fists and unleashed his battle chi without holding back. Even the void cracked under the force of his punch. Hee, this blade has been with me for many years. I can't let you break it just like that. Kenrin licked his lips, pulled back his saber, and stepped into the air. Then today I, the Hall Master, will destroy it. Whoosh! Yang Wei sneered, turned into a ray of light, and flew up into the sky. Seeing this, Kenrin quickly moved his feet and dodged. The two of them exchanged blows in the air, and the distance between them increased. However, they were heading in the direction where Ming Yi and Ling Feng were. Even a fool would be able to tell that he was clearly trying to take advantage of the situation to help them. The green and red demons looked at each other, speechless. However, they secretly felt that it was interesting. The green and red ghosts laughed softly in unison as they thought of this. Their bodies suddenly flashed and arrived behind Fatty Lu. Both of them lifted their legs and kicked out. Damn Fatso, aren't you with Kenrin? If that's the case, leave Kenrin to Hall Master Yang, and leave you to us. Bang. F***CK. Fatso Lu was caught off guard. His butt was kicked, and his body was sent flying into the air. Fatso Lu, who was a few 100 pounds heavy, was like a ball of meat, spinning rapidly in the air. Green and red demons, if I don't kill you today, I won't be called the second boasting god. Fatso Lu stopped, rubbed his butt, and shouted angrily. With a wave of his hand, he released the reincarnation fire. The green and red demons' mouths twitched. They thought that Fatso Lu would understand their intention to attack. However, it seemed that he did not understand at all. They did not know that it was not that Fatso Lu did not understand, but that the previous two kicks had really made him angry. Although Fatso Lu was prepared to fight, he cooperated with the green and red demons, and gradually shifted the battle circle to Ling Feng. Why do you have to go through so much trouble? Won't it be faster for you to attack? With that young man's cultivation, he won't be able to defeat you even if he spends his entire life. Heartless Prime said coldly, and her eyes were filled with disdain. If it was her, Ming Yi would have died long ago. As for Ling Feng's hatred, she did not care at all. Hee, you are a heartless bitch. Do you know anything? Or do you know anything? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a calm smile. Yaya. Kind brother, I am hungry. Give me something to eat. I am going to devour them all. The little white beast, which was originally taking a nap on Wang Kai's shoulder, suddenly opened its eyes at this moment. Its pure and innocent eyes were currently filled with urgency. One had to admit that this heaven-devouring beast was quite interesting. It even found the right opportunity to claim credit. However, Wang Kai raised his hand and patted it gently. He said with a smile, "We agreed that you are only allowed to eat once a day. There is no room for discussion." If you say any more nonsense, I will eat you. Yaya. Kind brother, are you also a heaven-devouring beast? Do you know where our tribe is? How did you become like this? What is your name? I am Little White, or you can be Little Black. Whoosh. Following the little white beast's barrage of words, black lines appeared on Wang Kai's forehead as he listened. At first, he did not realize that it was so talkative. However, it was talkative now that it was talking about its tribe. It could be seen that even though Wang Kai could give it the heavenly force to devour, it was still cautious in its heart. It did not completely trust Wang Kai. Bastard! Do you think you can do anything to me with just a few pieces of trash? All of you die. Suddenly, Minji, who was in the void, began to roar angrily. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Being harassed by Yang Wei, Crippled Blade, Fatso Lu, and the green and red ghosts, he lost control of the 9 Serenity's cold flame and spat out a mouthful of blood. Although Ming Yi had a special flame and was stronger than Yang Wei and the others in terms of combat strength, they were all at the same level. However, their cultivation levels were the same. They were all peak Empyrean Exalt. Being caught off guard and attacked continuously, it was difficult to be perfectly safe. Why are you talking so much to that guy? If it were not for the fact that you fought with Ling Feng, I would have killed you with a slap. Fatso Lu shook the plate and sneered disdainfully. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw out a reincarnation fire. When the two ghosts saw this, they looked at each other and dodged. This allowed the reincarnation karma fire to attack Ming Yi. Damn it! Damn it! All of you deserve to die. When Ming Yi saw this, he was so angry that he went crazy. He couldn't help but pull out his hand and shoot out the 9 underworlds cold flame, which blasted toward Fatso Lu and the others. Chapter 603. Rumble. The 9 nether cold flame and the reincarnation fire collided in the air. The purple cold flame and the green rebirth fire cancelled each other out and turned into light spots, flying in all directions. Crack! At the same time, one of the 2 remaining 7 sword radiances was also worn down. However, the last remaining sword radiance directly broke through the 9 serenity's cold flame and pierced toward Ming Yi. Poof! The black sword radiance disappeared in the blink of an eye. In an instant, it cut off Ming Ye's left arm. Fresh blood and a broken arm floated up into the sky. Ah! Bastard! Bastard! Minji suddenly felt incomparable pain, and the veins on his forehead bulged. He gritted his teeth, making cracking sounds. His eyes were full of strong killing intent as he glared at Ling Feng. You deserve to die. Ling Feng's face turned pale. He had no strength left in his body, and he fell from the sky. The unique flame is indeed powerful. Even with all my cultivation and the help of others, I only managed to cut off one of your arms. I have lost this battle. Ling Feng's mind was in a mess. He had used all of his 7 ultimate sword radiance, and was in a weakened state. If Fatty Lu and the others had not interfered, not only would Ling Feng have been defeated, he would have been frozen and killed. Because of this, Ling Feng had a strong sense of defeat. He had a clearer understanding of the unique flame. However, it was too late to say anything now. Sometimes life and death could be decided in an instant. Once one attacked, there was little hope for one to come out unharmed. Even if I lose an arm, I can still kill all of you. Die. Minji angrily rebuked again and again. He waved his right hand and chopped in the air. Immediately, a purple 9 serenity's cold flame attacked and swept directly toward Ling Feng, who was falling from the sky. Rumble! Rumble! At the same time, Fatty Lu, Yang Wei, Green and Red Ghosts, as well as Broken Blade, had no time to save him. They were completely blocked in the air by the 9 serenity's cold flame. It was already very lucky that they could protect themselves from being hurt by the strange flame. Wang Kai, if you don't make a move now, when will you? Seeing this, Fatty Lu became anxious. Although he also had a special flame, he still had to stay to resist the 9 serenity's cold flame. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Yang Wei and the others to be safe. Big brother! Big senior brother, it's time for you to act tough. Kenrin fiercely slapped his bald head as he roared with a ferocious expression. Sect leader, kill him! Green Ghost and Red Ghost also shouted loudly. They continuously released Death Chi to resist the 9 underworld cold flame together with Fatso Lu and the others. In an instant, the sky was filled with purple flames, surrounding Fatso Lu and the others. They were unable to escape at all. What are you shouting for? With me here, even if the Emperor comes, he can't hurt Ling Feng at all. What can Ming Yi, the controller of the 9 serenity's cold flame, do? Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. 1. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, under the disbelieving gazes of the crowd, the space beneath the descending Ling Feng suddenly tore apart. As a result, the Ling Feng suddenly disappeared. When Ling Feng reappeared, he was beside Wang Kai, lying on the ground, unconscious. Tearing open the void. The means of a supreme master. This. You can still use the cultivation of a supreme master. This is impossible. Mingyi was shocked and immediately shouted. He could not believe that Wang Kai could still tear open the void after entering the reincarnation realm. If they were outside the reincarnation realm, Mingyi would never dare to be enemies with Wang Kai. In such a situation, he would not choose to take the initiative to provoke Wang Kai. After all, Wang Kai's name was well known in the Eight Wastelands. The combat strength of a Supreme Master was even greater than that of Heartless Supreme. However, in the reincarnation realm, he should be able to display the cultivation of a peak Heavenly Master. But at this moment, he was tearing open the void. Everything was beyond common sense and beyond Ming Ye's calculation. What is a Supreme Master's means? This sect master is very awesome, okay? Not to mention a Supreme Master, even the Eight Wasteland Supremes, or even the stronger Heavenly Soldiers and Heavenly Generals, or the Heavenly Origin Realm, are not much different from ants in front of me. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. 8 Wasteland Supremes, Heavenly Soldiers, Heavenly Generals, Heavenly Origin Realm? What is he talking about? Mingyi was stunned when he heard such words. He even forgot about the pain in his broken arm. Other than doubts, there was only panic left. It was really a headache to meet an opponent like Wang Kai, who was beyond common sense. Sigh, it is just the 9 Serenity's cold flame. Whoosh, suddenly, Wang Kai stepped forward and appeared in front of Fatso Lu and the others. He opened his mouth and blew out a breath. The 9 Serenity's cold flame dissipated into nothingness. Ming Ye's eyes bulged when he saw such a scene. His face was pale, and he turned around and fled with fear in his eyes. He could blow away the 9 Serenity's cold flame in one breath. How could he fight? Sect leader, you are too pretentious. He ran away. Green Ghost and Red Ghost looked at each other and smacked their lips speechlessly. Crack! Wang Kai was not anxious when he heard this. Instead, he turned his hand casually and tore a hole in the void in front of him. You patter! Then, under the surprised gaze of Fatso Lu and the others, Ming Yi, who had already escaped, suddenly came out of the hole in the void. Wang Kai grabbed his neck. The means of a Supreme Master to tear the void was indeed mysterious and strange. Even if he was thousands of miles away, he could still tear the void and capture him. Slap! Wang Kai pinched Ming Ye's neck with one hand and slapped him with the other. The crisp sound directly caused Ming Ye's face to explode. Take a slap before condemning. Now, tell me, are you wrong? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled with a playful expression. Crack! Crack! Ming Yi was so angry that his whole body trembled. He gritted his teeth so hard that they broke. He had never been so humiliated since he started cultivating. Even if he was afraid of Wang Kai, he was more angry at this moment. Sect leader asked you if you were wrong. Are you deaf? Damn it! Slap! Slap! Green Ghost and Red Ghost at the side saw this and immediately waved their hand. 2 slaps accurately landed on Ming Ye's face, making him unrecognizable. You still don't want to say it? I gave you some face. You even dared to burn your Uncle Lu just now. Bang! Crack! Fatso Lu was not to be outdone. He raised his hand and was about to slap Ming Yi, but he saw that there was no place on Ming Ye's face that was intact. In the end, he directly chose to kick him out. Ming Ye's leg was immediately smashed into pieces and drooped down. Your figure doesn't look complete. It's better to look like this. Kenren licked his lips and reached out to grab Ming Ye's arm with a ferocious sneer on his face. With a fierce tug, he immediately tore off the remaining arm. Ah! Whoa! Ah! The repeated excruciating pain caused Ming Yi to scream incessantly. That incomparably miserable appearance was truly terrifying to the extreme. Then this leg doesn't look complete either. Remove it too. Yang Wei shook his arms, raised his foot, and kicked out fiercely. He directly kicked Minji's last leg and sent it flying down from the sky. Looking at Ming Yi again, at this moment, he had already become a human stick. It was so miserable. How can you treat him like this? Our Discord sect is a righteous sect, okay? This sect leader is the embodiment of justice and the messenger of kindness, okay? Wang Kai shook his head speechlessly when he saw this. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. QQ Genuine Reading Group Number 460-524699. Welcome to the Apprentice Fan Points to join the group for discussion. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.